What's good, everybody? It's CocoPower430 here, and welcome to a very special holiday tier list video. Now, for some reason, every time around December, I would always associate this month with Disney. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I always used to go to Disneyland as a kid growing up, and see all the holiday decorations during this time was simply amazing. And even watching a classic Disney movie when my family would get together for Christmas Eve. So, with all that in mind, I thought it'd be a great time to take a trip down memory lane and watch every single animated Disney movie that they release, and put them into one big tier list video. Obviously talk about the theatrical releases they made, because we also included the Pixar and Disney DVD stuff. We'd probably be here for 5 hours. However, this time I'm going to do this tier list ranking with my brother, as we both decided to watch these movies again all the way back in 2023. Do these movies hold up even to this day, or have some fallen down a peg as the lens of nostalgia have slowly faded away? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get started with the rankings. Yeah, how long have we been actually watching all these Disney films? Like, when did we actually start? Like last year, right?
I want to say last year, but honestly, it's too long.
It was a long time. We actually took like a break in between, but it was like, man, there were a lot of Disney films to get through. And like I said in the intro, some of them were amazing and nostalgic to watch. Then there were others where like, why do we watch these as a kid?
I mean, yeah, that's literally a big portion of this list. And it's honestly, it was fun, but literally towards the end, it became a slog.
Which is kind of sad because, you know, in the 90s were its peak, and then, you know, 2000 you had some underrated masterpieces, but in the age we're working with now, especially with Disney now using AI, it's like, uh-oh,
yeah,
this is gonna get bad.
Not a good look.
Enough about that. We got to go all the way back to what, 1933 with Snow White. And honestly, as a kid, I never really liked Snow White.
Really?
I always thought it was kind of like overrated, and always thought it was kind of boring. I never liked the dwarves, you know, sleepy, depressy, Columbine-y. As a kid, I never really cared for Snow White. I never liked the dwarves. I always thought Snow White was boring, and I felt like there was not much tension. You know what I mean? It was just like, just watching it, be like, oh, it's it? That's over? Oh, cool. But rewatching it now, it is actually really good. Considering, yeah, it's the first animated movie ever made, it still holds up.
It's a very underrated movie, which is weird to say coming from Disney, but this being their very first feature animated movie, it's very like, I don't know, I guess the right word is slice of lifey, where like not a lot happens, like there's still a plot, but it's still like very, you know, slow, and we're kind of going through this story rather than, okay, we got to go from the beginning, have a middle, and then have the end, and then the climactic fight, and you know, the Disney tropes and every movie trope. But now it just feels, I don't know, very wholesome, cozy at times. I don't know, it's very good.
And the dwarves are actually the highlight of the movie.
Oh yeah.
It's just, yeah, again, it's very good. It's actually really good. I actually forgot just how good it was, but I do like it how the evil queen was like, kill this bitch. It's like, she's fairer than me, kill her now. I mean, and it's like, goddamn,
it's the most simplest of villain motivations, but it works in this movie. But it's just like,
she gets work done. She gets it done.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know where to rank this. I feel like, okay, back in the day I'll probably put like a D tier, but to be honest, rewatching it and seeing all the stuff for it, I gotta put it in an A tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree, because like it's a solid A, maybe like a top of B, if I don't know, depending how this list goes. But like, it's a very good movie, and like honestly a very good first start. And plus, I think like honestly we could both agree like Grumpy probably is the MVP of this movie, just holding everything down with just his comedic timing and just overall aura. Whereas
he's got six brothers to take care of. He's already stressed out enough. Why do you think they call him Grumpy?
Exactly, he has to run the whole operation, man.
He has to work the whole mines. And when they break down in Walt Disney World, it's like, hey, wait a minute, now I gotta fix this.
Exactly. Also, too, just one last note on not Cinderella, God, Snow White, is that the music, pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it's iconic. I mean, the dwarf song is iconic. Let's be real here. We all know that. But yeah, overall, good villain. You know, bland characters, or, you know, bland human characters. Snow White is just Snow White. But the dwarves are really good, and it makes for a compelling story that keeps you, literally, keeps you focused. So yeah, I feel like it deserves an A tier. Not just for being the first animated movie. You know what I mean? It's just that good.
Solid first start.
All right. Well, since we did Snow White, let's see about Pinocchio. And Pinocchio.
Is it off base to say that the ride is better?
Yeah, I mean, I felt more nostalgic over the ride in Anaheim than I did in the movie. I mean, Pinocchio's fine. I think it's more like just having random events happen that involve Pinocchio. Like him getting kidnapped by an Italian Wario.
He does.
Getting eaten by Bolstro. Getting turned into a mule. I mean, that was crazy. Hello? Like, did everyone just gloss over the fact that a dude's kidnapping children and turning them into animals?
For freaking forced labor? It's
for
like...
forced labor in the slavery? We just skip over that? Like, hello? does nobody want to tell Geppetto, be like, oh yeah, this guy's kidnapping children. He's doing what now?
Sorry, Geppetto, but Pinocchio was sold off to the mines.
Pinocchio, he yearned for the mines. Oh no.
Oh no.
But overall, for all the stuff that happens, it is pretty neat. Like, Bolstro's cool to see. Pleasure Island is just amazing. It's a spectacle. But for the most part, it is a step down from Snow White. But I can't really say I hated it because a lot of stuff happens, and Pinocchio's not a bad character. You know, he's just an idiot because he was just born yesterday. He doesn't know any better.
Literally, and this is like what I was mentioning for Snow White, where you have Snow White and Pinocchio are kind of like opposite ends of like the same coin, where like they're both like slice of lifey, more wholesome, like kind of wholesome-y. Well, Pinocchio just goes off the rails after like the first 5 minutes, but like
Pinocchio technically gets kidnapped twice.
Yeah, which is insane. But like they're both sort of slice of lifey, like whereas Snow White has a plot and is actually moving along, Pinocchio feels like, all right, one part of the movie, that's episode 1. Episode 2, oh, now he's freaking in Pleasure Island with like people turning kids into donkeys, and it's like, what's happening next? And then episode 3, you know, it feels more like different stories cobbled together, whereas like Snow White was like one cohesive unit, and that's not bad, but it's like with Pinocchio, it just feels very meandering. It doesn't help. Like most of the plot is kind of very hit or miss at points where like you kind of lose your attention.
I think overall, I think the positives outweigh the negatives in this scenario.
Oh yeah.
And you know, Pinocchio does learn his, wait a minute. Does Pinocchio actually learn his lesson?
What was the lesson? Yeah, what was the lesson?
What was the lesson that the blue fairy gave Pinocchio? Wait a minute. Not to trust strangers? Don't talk to strangers, Pinocchio, or else you get turned to a mule.
Basically, I mean, yeah, stranger danger?
Stranger danger, Pinocchio. And Geppetto didn't even walk him to school. He's like, go to school that way. Where's the school, Papa? That way. go find it yourself, idiot.
At least what we could say and this is impossible to compare because it's so unfair, but like in the Guillermo del Toro one, at least he walked him to school or to town.
That's true. That is true. But that's comparing like, you know, an S tier movie to like a B, low B.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable, don't get me wrong, but there are better Pinocchio movies out there, like the one we just mentioned, obviously, but don't get me started on the one with Tom Hanks.
Oof.
Wow. That one is embarrassing. I've never seen Tom Hanks give up on a movie halfway through the movie. It's like he just gave up acting. He's like, whatever.
From what I've seen and what you've told me, I've heard it's a trip, to put it lightly.
It's atrocious. It's like, again, but mainly all these Disney live action remakes are awful. But if you want to see us do us a tier ranking on that, you know, comment down below and like and subscribe. You know, we may do that. I'm gonna force them to watch Mulan one day.
God help me.
But yeah, overall, Pinocchio, I liked it. Is it a step down from Snow White? Yes. But does it make it bad? No.
No. Solid little movie.
Yes. Fun little episodic movie. Fantasia. Oh, wow.
this is going to be a hard one to rank because I think so far, and there's only been two, the first two, those are movies. This is an experience, just to put it lightly. And also, how do you rank this with the rest of the catalog? This is going to be tough.
True, but I think the way they did it, making it the music come to life with all the scenes, you know, the dinosaur scene, the Kingdom Hearts villain.
Yep.
It's still really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Even as a kid, I really, really enjoyed Fantasia. You can't see it as a movie. You have to see it as a concert or something. And for that, I still really like it. It's just so hard to explain, honestly, why Fantasia works, but it just does. Yeah, I ain't no music major, but Fantasia just works. You know, it works for me.
No, it does. And like you nailed it right on the head. Where like I was gonna say S tier also, but like this is honestly one of those pieces of media that like you have to experience as not just as a movie, like the visual form, but also, well, it's mainly animation, but like it's also to the music where like really sells the emotions of a lot of characters. Like the ones that I keep thinking about is oh my god, it's the opening where like it just becomes amorphous blobs towards the ending of it, where it's just music hitting you left, right, and then just transcends into a different plane basically, where like the animation is outstanding for like what, this is like in the 40s, so the fact that it still holds up this well is honestly mind-boggling. But like the music selling all these emotions that you're just experiencing these from left and right. And then also too, just I think it was the one where like it's the fairies and they're signaling the changing of the seasons. That's another one that I keep coming back to, and it's like perfect. I would definitely recommend seeing this. And also too, if you can find the audio too, because there's some bangers in here for classic music, I will just say.
True, but again, you know what it's like? It's like when Remy's eating the cheese and the different things in the beginning of Ratatouille with all the different feelings he's having.
Yep.
It's like that. That's basically Fantasia in a nutshell. That scene. You combine this and this and you get a whole new experience. It's like, wow. Thanks, Mouth or Rat.
Thanks, Rat. And also too, Fantasia gave us Yen Sid. So A plus S tier movie.
Well, I think that's Yen Sid. But yeah, S tier, very good movie. Would watch again. Or you know what? They should re-release this in theaters just to get the full experience, but I doubt that would ever happen again.
Or at least upscale this to 4K on Disney Plus. Do it, Disney.
We get to an S tier movie. Now we get to Dumbo. Where do I begin with Dumbo?
It's bad.
Dumbo's bad. Yeah. Dumbo is a really rough watch. That is it weird to say just Dumbo's just cute, but like it's boring as hell, and there's a lot of issues with it. Like, my god. Yeah,
it's a very much oof. Now we're into the realm of, okay, this movie's not only bad but also very problematic. And yeah, you nailed it on the head. Dumbo's just cute, but that's it.
And I feel like another movie in this list does it way better than Dumbo does.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but again, Timothy Chalamet, cricket mouse dude, is so boring and bland. I'm like, I don't care about the mouse. Dumbo's mom protecting him, you know, it's like, oh my god, that kid's a dick.
Getting bullied by a bunch of grown women, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's like, goddamn, like big ear Dumbo, like, wow, elephants have big ears. What's the difference?
Who would have thought?
He's a little bit longer. Freak of nature.
Yeah, it's like, okay, be jealous. That's, again, the movie, if it was just that, fine, it would just be a boring C tier movie. But then, oh god, it goes into a very uncomfy territory for like a majority of the movie.
That's like, why are we doing this?
Why
was this added? But you know what's sad? The crows are the highlight of the film. They're
They
the only
are.
cool characters and give Dumbo confidence to, you know, fly and be somebody different. You know what I mean? To use his gift of big earness, whatever.
They would be great characters if only they weren't racist. I know we're skirting around it, but like it's wild. They're like, agreed, they're like the best characters, but then it's just the way they're presented and everything is insane.
It's like, wow, whoa, no, what the hell? I mean, if they hung out with Dumbo instead of the mouse, I'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah,
They're ride or die for Dumbo, and they're cool.
that's literally like his group of friends, and it's like they play such a pivotal part of the movie, and they only
play
appear
a more
like
important role than the mouse.
they do.
Seriously,
And
I cannot emphasize this enough. The crows are there for like 5 minutes, play more of an integral role than the majority of the characters that are involved in Dumbo. What are we doing here? And they're at the end.
you basically could cut out everything else from Dumbo and just have him meet the crows, and that's literally it. And that you basically cut off the whole movie. And
You know
it's
what's
like 5
crazy?
minutes.
Yeah, you're right. This could have been a great short film, like a 20-minute film. That's it. Not a whole, like, what, 70-minute film? It was just so unnecessary.
I forgot it was 70 minutes.
Yeah, the pink elephants, you know, it's a trip, but that's literally it. That's the only positive thing I'd say about Dumbo.
Yep.
Dumbo's cute, the pink elephants are weird, and the crows are the highlight.
And Casey Jr., the ride is cool at Disneyland. You should ride it.
But again, there's nothing to say about Dumbo that really is just like a sore spot for the old Disney films.
Yeah.
D for Dumbo. More like D for dumbass. Speaking of cute little animals or baby animals, we got Bambi. And
Bambi.
you know what? Like I said with Dumbo, Bambi could have worked as a short film, but the difference between Dumbo and Bambi is that although Bambi basically has no story, what it makes up for is really, really good animation, and did the Disney animators flexing that they can animate a deer and a buck.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
animals.
It's like the massive flex of like not just like animating Bambi and like his dad and all the other deer, but just like every single animal feels like did Disney. I know there's that picture of like the baby deer in the Disney animation studios, but they did just bring a bunch of other animals from like the Glendale area to be like, here, draw them.
While just brought up in the truck being like, go my animals, go. Draw them. You see them all running around trying to draw them as fast as they can.
Exactly.
But yeah, not Dumbo. Oh my god. Ew. No.
Ew,
Do not
bad
compare
movie.
Dumbo and Bambi. Bambi is cute, but there's a lot more to Bambi. Like the animation. You know, I like Thumper and Flower. They're at least cool. They're nice characters with Bambi, even though Bambi's technically not a character. I mean, whatever.
It's just a deer. That's it.
He's just a young deer going through life with his mother. Then bam, man.
Yep.
Man.
I will say Thumper and Flower round out Team Bambi enough to where when they fight Metal Overlord at the end of the movie, it's pretty solid.
Yeah. Metal Overlord with Man is pretty crazy.
Mad Overlord?
Would Team Shadow just be the other buck that wanted to steal Bambi's girl at the end?
An evil Thumper?
An evil Thumper?
Who's Team Chaotix? Oh no, that's Team Dumbo. Ew, get them out of here.
Team Dumbo, ew. No. But no, seriously, there's really not much to say about this movie. Is that it's just really good animation that they're able to flex. And you know, the whole man scene with Bambi's mom dying, yeah, it's impactful. It's honestly hot take. It's more of an impactful scene than like Bambi with his mom. Or Dumbo with his mom. Dumbo with his mom. Oh my god.
Agreed. No, agreed on both.
I do not care about Dumbo with his mom at all. Even as a kid, I was like, you know what? This movie stinks. I don't care that Dumbo's suffering.
Dumbo's so bad that we're talking about it in the Bambi ranking portion.
Yes. But again, there's not much to talk about Bambi. It's a mid movie, but you know what? It's not so. It's like a C+ movie. Really good
Yeah.
animation. You know, I like the climax scene with him. I actually forgot the ending. Oh my god. Wait a minute.
It's where the hunters break every sort of law of like gun safety and just start open firing with their AKs into a fucking woods.
Yes. I was about to say Bambi's 2 ending.
Yes.
Bambi 2's
Oh my
ending. I was
God.
like, no way.
Oh,
I was gonna
Bambi
be
2.
like, wait a minute, that's with Kiefer Sutherland. Wait a minute, that's the wrong movie.
If Kiefer Sutherland is this movie, that'd be crazy. He time traveled.
He time traveled to be the dear dad again, or the buck. It's like, your mother can't be with you anymore, and it just cuts to Bambi 2.
It's like, huh?
That'll be the funniest thing. And somebody made a super cut of Bambi and Bambi 2, where literally in the middle of it, it just starts Bambi 2 for no reason, and then we get to the end where he's grown up.
It's like, what did I just watch?
It's like, wait a minute, why is this 3 hours long? Didn't you want to see Bambi grow up to see how he became the buck he is today? No?
No.
Too bad. Anyway, you know, Mad is not a villain. I don't want to get into that because somebody already did, but still a very enjoyable movie, but there's really not much to it besides the really good animation.
That's pretty much it. It's just good animation, decent characters, a very cool setting, and that's it.
Okay. All right, well, we got to the music section, and good grief, they are pretty boring and bad. Again, a lot of these ones were just made because, you know, Disney was busy with other things, you know, there was a possible war going on. But yeah, in the end, these are all just really, really boring and bad filler movies. They shouldn't even count as movies, to be honest. They're just filler. They're just ways to try to save money and get a buck for Disney that was on the verge of bankruptcy.
It's just there to be tax write-offs, but actually made, unlike Zaslav, just destroying everything at Max and everywhere.
Yeah, oof. That's rough. Oh, Melody Time.
Ooh.
Oh
yeah.
Ew.
Ew.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they're just
He who should not be named. Awful films that are just there to get some sort of money in the middle of World War II.
Exactly, and we're spending more time than is really necessary talking about them versus just watching them, which if you've seen one, you've seen them all. It's just only comparison is that, like, they're just, imagine late 40s AMVs and that's it.
Now I need Naruto with like a Naruto AMV with just like make my music scenes.
Set to Linkin Park.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, just bad, just forgettable. Forget about them. Forget like they even existed, like Disney does.
Exactly. Only one worth watching is Three Caballeros, but that's for the culture.
Yes. Ichabod and Mr. Toad. Yay. Okay, wait. Let's do it.
Now, Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
Now we're talking of like actually good movies. Now we're back. This, personally I think is an S tier, but it could either go S or A. But both stories, they differ in quality, but pretty solid overall. Like, honestly, I guess I'll just start with the first one, which is Mr. Toad. The ride, phenomenal, but the actual story, pretty solid. It's like a fun, wacky time going through England with watching this Toad as he commits vehicular manslaughter, and then someone seemingly loses money to gambling debt. It's like, what? What's going on here? And just having that with the music there is solid, it's fine, and it's a fun like little story. Just seeing the weasels for the first time, I think then their next appearance is what, Roger Rabbit, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But then Ichabod, you get to the Headless Horseman, right?
Yeah.
That's what elevates this to like an S tier to me, because not only you get Bing, is it Bing Crosby?
Yes, he did the music.
Yeah, he did the music as also the narrator at points.
That was like, really good.
Really good. His song in the tavern is so catchy. It's such an earworm. And plus two, once you get to the Headless Horseman chasing down Ichabod Crane, oh my God, peak.
Yeah, you know what's funny? As a kid, I always thought as a kid, I forgot about Mr. Toad. I always consider with the ride, right?
Yes.
So at the end of the movie, or like, you know, at the end of the story, I was like, is this when he goes to hell? Is it when he starts his road rage to hell?
He never does. He never dies.
He lives. I was thinking, damn, that Toad lived.
Damn,
overall, yes, the Ichabod story is better than Mr. Toad, but for me, the Mr. Toad one was okay. You know, his two His two bubbling sidekicks are kind of boring. I do like it how he loses his house because, he signs away off of it, which is very funny. He has to grab back the deed, which is, a cool and fun climax. But the highlight of this whole little movie, I guess, is the Headless Horseman, which is really good. So, personally, I would put this in A tier.
That's fair.
You got fair. It's like C or B, then A. You get like in between. I'll put like an A.
Yeah, because they're not bad. Like, honestly, comparing like just the Mr. Toad stuff to Pinocchio and Bambi, I still rather watch the Mr. Toad stuff because there's still some goofy hijinks, even though the characters, for the most part, some of them aren't that well fleshed out, but it's still like except fun slapstick and crazy.
Toad's fleshed out. I like Toad.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Toad's great.
But considering that what we got the past 5 films, this is a major upgrade. I mean, my God. From the music, the awful music movies to this, I'll take it. Honestly, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, any day.
Cinderella. What is one word that you can associate with Cinderella?
It is average.
Yep. Cinderella is not the best princess film that Disney has to offer. Heck, it's not even like, out of all these, out of like the ones we're gonna get, it's probably like the worst. Is that crazy to say?
Yeah, I mean, even just compared to all the princess movies, it's very like, I would say like near the bottom because it's just boring.
I mean, Cinderella is not meant to be maybe she could be an interesting character. I mean, I know the mom, for some reason, is like more fleshed out in the Disney DVD movies, which is kind of insane to think about.
Yeah.
Because like we were forced to watch Cinderella 3 all the way back when we were kids because my cousin loved that DVD to death. But that was actually a way better movie than this one. I was thinking, what happened? I mean, it's just so boring. They focus on the mice for far too long, and it's just like, wow, this is a rough watch. There's like no character. There's literally the humans in the story have zero characteristics. It's like, what are we doing here? Why do the mice and the cat have more of a personality than any of these idiots?
That's the thing. I don't know. And honestly, just going to the mice, if I had to hear Gus Gus and his stupid bullshit, I would just literally punt kick him. See how far he could go.
I would throw Gus Gus under a bus and just be like, go home. Get out of here.
Get out of here. And I mean, this was a solid boss fight in one of those Kingdom Hearts games on the DS or 3DS. But other than that, this movie is just very boring, very average.
And it's not even like drawn well, to be honest. You know what I mean? Like the animation's not even that good in comparison to like Bambi, or heck, even Ichabod and Crane, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Even compared to like Snow White, the animation seems very off, if that makes sense. Even though these are like, what, 10 years apart almost?
I think 20.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think about, but I guess the highlight is her getting to the ball. That's a very neat scene. That's a very good scene, don't get me wrong, but the rest of the movie to get to it is just so boring, so mundane, and you really, really, really want to beat those mice to death. You want to put like a mousetrap everywhere you go if you ever hear Gus Gus ever again.
I just want to grab those mice and put them in the microwave like that stupid Alvin and the Chipmunks meme, because at the end of it, I'm just over it. I'm over their story. I'm over Cinderella, basically. It's like, already go with your man. Get out of here. End this movie, please.
Please end this. Like, just stop the movie. Literally, C tier, C minus, below C. It's better than Dumbo. I'd rather watch Cinderella than Dumbo. That's how I see it. But still, not a good movie at all. All right, after bashing Cinderella so bad, we finally get to Alice in Wonderland, and this is what I mean when comparing Cinderella to the other Disney princesses, where there are some really good ones and some rough ones, but the best out of all of them is Alice in Wonderland. This is one of my favorite films. Even though really it is good. Like Pinocchio, where it feels very episodic, I feel like that's the point of Wonderland. It's just you have no idea what's going on. It's all madness. It doesn't have to make sense because it doesn't make sense. That's what makes it so great. I mean, the Cheshire Cat, the queen, literally changing all this stuff for Tourette and beheading people just because she feels like it is so funny that it just works. It's literally such a fun trip to go through that it's really the highlight of the Disney princesses, to be honest, especially during the early age.
No, I agree. And like, honestly, Alice in Wonderland's strength in this movie, the strength of this movie is literally having these sort of meandering stories. Everything sort of just happens. And that's the point, because, spoiler alert, it's a dream. What a twist. But it works into it where like you're going through all these different episodes of like, where is this going? Where am I? Who are these people? What's happening? But it just works to the film's strength, because like Wonderland is just pure chaos. Literally just chaos. Perfect chaos, some would say.
Shout out my goat, Sonic Adventure. Oh no.
Oh no.
But yeah, it's just a really good film that I really enjoyed. The Mad Tea Party, the Mad Hatter, the Cheshire Cat, everybody, even the White Rabbit is really good.
So iconic.
They're all memorable characters. The caterpillar that smokes his weed. Shout out to my boy. But yeah, it's just all of these characters are so memorable that it really makes it stand out from the classic Disney movies that we've seen so far. That it's like really good. I wouldn't even say S tier, but you know, some stuff was hit or miss, but the stuff that did hit really hit. So that's why it's like I would put it in S tier, but I feel like it fits perfectly in A tier. And no, we didn't mean this to be like A for Alice and D for Dumbo. It just kind of worked out that way. In that case, it'd be like B for Bambi. Wait a minute, C for Cinderella. Oh no, what have we done?
Oh no.
Now I gotta put P for Pinocchio. Oh god.
In P tier. What is this, Pokemon ranking? PU?
PU. But speaking of classics, Peter Pan. Oh my god, Peter Pan is so much fun. You know, the trip to Neverland, Neverland itself, Captain Hook, Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, everybody's great. But some stuff in it, oh dear. Oh dear.
Don't pause on the map that Captain Hook has, because good lord, that was a mistake. It was awful.
The racism is off the charts. I mean, my goodness. I mean, I thought it was bad in Dumbo. Good grief. Which is such a shame that there's so much like horrible depictions of racism and stereotyping in this movie, because Captain Hook as a villain is such an amazing villain that it really hurts that like I can't put this movie in like the S tier or A tiers, because it is really rough.
Yeah, it really drags it down from what otherwise, if those were removed, would be a really solid story, because honestly, it doesn't need it.
I mean, yeah, it feels like the Native American scene is just filler. And really, you can replace the girl that gets kidnapped with Lucy and nothing changes.
No, nothing changes. It's
so
just,
like,
why is this here?
Why are they there?
Exactly. And also too, just I know we keep talking about Hook and Smee, but they're literally comedy gold. Like the perfect duo of just back and forthing with not only the main characters but just themselves. They're so funny.
Yeah, and Captain Hook is honestly by himself like an S tier villain. Like he is like probably like top 3, top 5 in Disney villain history.
Yeah, I say so.
Yeah, he's just so good. I mean, he's so ruthless, setting a pipe bomb to goddamn Peter Pan. No, but yeah, Captain Hook is absolutely insane, and he's not wrong. He didn't lay hand nor hook on Peter Pan. He just sent him a bomb instead, which is crazy. How did he even find a bomb to even make it in the first place?
Who knows? He just had it. It's like, you know what? Fair enough. He put in the work.
I can respect that. He put in the work. And Peter Pan's also a great character. The Lost Boys are cool, funny. They're just goofy as hell. But again, the stuff that's in it is really rough. Very rough. Even for them, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, none of the stuff needed to be included, and like, it's wild. It's like, if they were all gone, this is a good movie, but the fact that they're there, it drags it down. What
can we say about Lady and the Tramp?
It's a movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's really not much to say about Lady and the Tramp. I mean, I really have nothing to say about it. It's like so forgettable. I guess the only highlight is the scene that keeps showing over and over again with them eating pasta and spaghetti. That's the only scene I can remember because that's all they show.
The Italian stereotypes are the best characters in this movie.
They're the only ones with the personality.
Yeah.
And the racist cats, they can be removed and add nothing to the film because the ant already hates the dog. And it's like, there's no point to that scene. You can just remove it and be like, nothing's changed.
Nothing changes. I mean, you could literally just not watch this movie in general and nothing changes.
Yeah, Lady is just so boring. Tramp's also boring. The two dogs are, again, forgettable. That like I don't remember their names.
Neither do I, but
one of them gets ran over and lives for some reason, and it's like, how? You got ran over? And all you have is a broken leg?
He's just built different.
He's built like a tank. Man, the whole climax is like, whatever. I just don't care about Lady or Tramp. I don't care about this movie in general.
Neither do I.
And it's just like, okay. Just whatever.
Dumbo.
It's just really just like a forgettable film that really is just like, name one positive for Lady and Tramp.
The Disney DVD sequel is better.
And that's basically the same movie.
Yes.
Except gender swapped. It's like, what are we doing here? And also the Italians.
Yep. Shout out Italy.
Yep. And where Mario says, you go to hell before you die. Just like where the dogs are going. Not all dogs go to heaven, sadly. And these two dogs, they ain't going there.
Not all dogs go to heaven, but these dogs, they're going to hell.
You know what's funny? We never actually watched Sleeping Beauty growing up, did we?
No, it was always just mentioned in passing towards us. We never really watched it fully.
It's probably because we never cared, because like, again, we only associate Maleficent with, again, Kingdom Hearts or what's it called? The Disney the fireworks show. What's it called again?
Fantasmic.
Yeah. That's the only thing we remember her from. But watching this movie, she's a very good villain. She's great, actually. I can see why people like have her in such high regard. But the movie itself, you know what, is actually pretty good. I kind of like the two kings being goofy and interacting with each other. Aurora's not a bad princess. You know, she was kept locked away because, you know, Maleficent said, hey, in your 18th birthday, you're gonna prick something and die. So like, what are you gonna do? Get rid of the stuff that she's gonna die from. That's smart.
Makes sense.
It's too bad that this movie gets crippled by three of the worst characters I've ever seen. I'm sorry, but the three fairies, how did they survive for that long without Maleficent noticing them? I will never know.
I have no idea. They are literally the stupidest protagonists I have ever seen. And it's a shock how, essentially, tying this back to Kingdom Hearts, why are they so important to the dang story in that? Because in their movie, they can't even defeat Maleficent or do anything like quote unquote magical until the very end, obviously.
Until the very end when they give the prince the powered up sword to stab Maleficent. But he does all the work, and again, he's more interesting than any of the other princes in this story. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
He has a personality, at least.
He has motivation.
And he actually does the deed and stops Maleficent. You know what I mean? The dwarves killed the queen. It wasn't the dude.
Yeah. No, true. He just showed up. He showed up, kissed her, left.
Like, yeah, what the hell? The dwarves like, we did all the work, man. What the fuck? But yeah, regardless, although I really hate the three fairies, the movie itself is really enjoyable. Kind of underrated. I mean, out of all the princesses films during this age, it's probably the second best one. Or maybe third. Yeah, third. Between Alice and Snow White. But still makes it really good. Honestly, I'd put this in high B tier. I actually really enjoyed it.
It has great characters and a great villain, and overall a solid plot, and it's a really solid movie.
Yeah, and I was shocked because as a kid, I always thought this movie kind of sucked. Again, I never watched it, always just assumed. But finally watching it now as an adult, it was really good. Really enjoyed it. Everyone had unique characters. They were fun. You know, the climax is exciting. Maleficent actually does work, and so does the prince. So it makes you feel like, oh my god, what's going to happen here? It's a very good film. 101 Dalmatians. Speaking of cute, my god, these puppies are adorable. These puppies are so adorable. I don't know why, but I'm getting a lot of IG reels of people saving puppies, and it's just so adorable. Like, who would want to do harm on these poor puppies? I mean, look at them. There's 100 of them.
We know one, and she had a full movie because the Dalmatians killed her grandma, okay?
Could you imagine? That's like, why won't you sing? Because Dalmatians killed my grandma, okay? And you see some poor troll get mangled by a Dalmatian.
Yeah.
That's like a chew toy. It's like, whoa, this movie got off the rails quick.
It did.
But yeah, Cruella de Vil is such an amazing villain. It's so crazy that her idea is just to make a full-on fur coat out of puppies. It's like, what? Puppies? That is so crazy.
It's insane, her motivation, but honestly, as a villain, you could see why she's like one of the most iconic villains out of like classic Disney. Like, she's unhinged, and towards the end she just goes even more crazier and crazier, and it's just really funny. And like this, also her villain song, S tier.
I mean, yeah, the guy hated her so much, he made a diss track on her.
Where have I seen this before?
It was so funny. But yeah, there's a reason why Cruella de Vil is so iconic, where she gets, what, 2 live action iterations?
Literally 2.
But that's what makes her so good. She's really one of the best Disney villains of all time. And, you know, the story itself is good. I really enjoyed it. It's short and sweet. That's what makes it good. It's short and to the point. You know, we don't really meander as much as I thought we would. And the whole chase or the escape scene makes a lot of sense. And the 2 bumbling idiots aren't realizing that the puppies are escaping. They're just coated in literally charcoal to escape and blend in. It's like, how would you not notice? But that's what makes them so funny.
Exactly. And like, it's just really also like, it's really good too that the art style is so unique, where it just feels like one of those like French magazine covers or just drawings that like come to life, and it's so iconic that like this movie just stands out and stands the test of time.
Yeah, honestly, love this movie. B tier. Like, again, like, wow, we changed our opinions on a lot of these movies rewatching them again.
We did. It's crazy. Hopefully it's all for the better.
We had 2 bangers back to back. Surely we get 3-peat, right? The Sword and the Stone.
A bad movie.
A very, very bad movie. I am not over-exaggerating here when I consider this movie to be one of the worst Disney films ever made. I know it's kind of shocking considering just how bad things got during the Disney era, but man, Sword of the Stone is just, first off, it's really boring. Second of all, the characters kind of suck. I don't like Merlin, and Arthur's kind of a blank slate, but the characters are just so bad. The feeling that the movie should have started with Arthur picking up the sword and then Merlin teaching him how to be a proper king would make a lot more sense, instead of that being the ending. Why do you have this as the ending? It's just like, my god, what are we doing here? And the only highlight, I guess, is a boring wizard fight that really, if you remove it from the film, it makes the movie worse, obviously, but it just adds nothing. Merlin doesn't teach Arthur jack shit. What does he teach him?
In one of them, the only thing he teaches Arthur is when they're squirrels, and freaking he just teaches Arthur how to raise up a squirrel. That's basically it. teaches him jack and shit. And it's so I know the Disney DVD sequels, right? They always get crap for being TV shows disguised as movies. But honestly, this is one of those cases where like it feels like it was supposed to be a TV show first and then became a movie. Like, so technically, and there's no evidence for this, you could trace that phenomenon all the way back to Sword in the Stone. It's so boring, so bad. Literally nothing happens. Nothing.
It's just really rough. I mean, my God, him as a fish, him as a squirrel, him as a bird. What did Merlin actually teach him how to be a better person, how to be a king? Nothing. He taught him zero things that can actually help him be a king. And he's like, oh, we're so expect him to be like this grand wizard who knows all. And it's like, get out of here, old man. You're just doing crack in the back alley. Like, leave me alone.
This is like if you watched the first Star Wars movie and then instead of Obi-Wan teaching Luke the ways of like the Force and like how to use the lightsaber, they just fucking get high in Tatooine and then that's it.
And they fuck Jawas.
No, Obi-Wan wants to fuck Jawas for some reason.
Could you imagine?
That's literally it.
Oh my God, it's so bad. I mean, yeah, this is like the first real movie that's an F tier. I'm not counting these 4 mistakes as movies. They're just tax write-offs. This is a movie.
Yes,
and
it is bad.
One of the worst. One of the worst. And now we get to Jon Favreau's The Jungle Book. Wait a minute. Wrong. No, this is the original Jungle Book. And
OG.
You know what's weird? There's a reason why I brought up the live action remake. Is it weird to say that I kind of preferred it over this one?
I mean, it's not a hot take. It's just the truth because this one, as good as it is, the live action one is the only case of this happening, by the way, of where the live action is better.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the positives of this movie first. I like Baloo and Mowgli's relationship. You know, King Louie's great. His song is amazing. It's just hilarious. Shere Khan is kind of there. Again, it's weird how he has more of a presence in the live action remake than he does in this movie, because you could just remove Shere Khan and have the monkey skin King Louie and Kaa be the villains.
Yeah.
Kaa does more than Shere Khan does.
King Louie has more motivation than Khan anyway.
Yeah, he wants to be a man cub.
Exactly.
That's like the perfect place to be the main villain. You know what I mean? But this one feels again like Pinocchio and Alice in Wonderland, where it's episodic. But you know, it feels like he's going through the jungle trying to get away from Shere Khan, obviously. But this one kind of does it a little bit better, in my opinion, than some of them. But overall, it's just kind of mid. Don't get me wrong, I really like Mowgli and Baloo's relationship. It's really fun. And like Baloo teaching him how to be a bear is really funny. And The Bare Necessities is an iconic song. But the rest of it is kind of okay. The elephants, the soldier elephants, are boring. That scene takes way too long. Shere Khan can be removed and the movie probably it benefits from that. But I think if you made King Louie the villain, this probably would have been a better movie. But overall, as it is, as much as I love Baloo and Mowgli's relationship, I gotta put it in C tier.
It's a very average movie. It's not bad, but it's not better than some of the movies above it. But overall, music is very solid. It's just to bring it back to Khan, he's the most some guy that he's ever been in this movie. And perfectly agree. Remove him. King Louie's the better. Put King Louie on the main card, damn it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect mid-carder, but the main eventer just really doesn't work out as well. It is weird to say that the live action remake is actually better, which is insane considering what we got in the future, that we started off with a bang with the Jungle Book to where we got horrible movies along the way. The Aristocats are bad.
So bad.
This movie is just so bad.
So bad.
The characters are very bland.
So bland.
And this movie made me very sad.
So sad.
I don't know why I rhymed there, but anyway, the movie is just... I don't even know how to describe it. Boring, dull, redundant, mediocre.
You described it perfectly. Yeah, mediocre, awful, boring. We just said boring.
The only highlight is legitimately the cat song. And that's it.
Until a certain point.
Yeah, then it's like, whoa, man, whoa, that is not the vibe we're going with at all, man. It's like, whoa, man,
whoa,
chill. That is not the vibe we were going for. You just ruined the whole mood.
Exactly.
You see the other catchers pause and stare at him, being like, hey, man, that's not cool.
It's like that one meme was like, man, you're scaring the hoes.
Yeah, I know.
You're scaring the pussycats, man.
You're scaring the pussycats, man. Get out of here. But yeah, this movie, I mean, my God, where can I begin? The villain is just stupid. I get that's the whole point. The butler is just not an interesting villain. You need to have more than that to make for a compelling story, Disney. And to drown the cats, okay, whatever. You know, that's awful, but like, why do we have a scene where the two dogs are listening to the car approaching or the motorcycle? And it's literally like for 10 minutes straight of them just like being like, I hear something. No, you don't. Okay, but there it is again. Yeah, now I hear it too. Let's go investigate. And they talk for like 10 minutes. Just that scene goes on and on and on and on. And it's like, why do we even have this scene to begin with?
Because funny. It's funny, right?
And the place at the end of the movie when, you know, the cats and the dogs are fighting the butler.
It's such a nothing movie that we're spending too much time talking about it in the first place. But like, there's not much to say. It's just a bunch of shit happens. A bunch of bland characters get into bland situations. And then that's it. And if you want, honestly, if you're really that interested in seeing a human want to kill cats or like try to get their money, just watch Cat Scratch.
What a deep cut. When Cat Scratch is a better representation than you are. Just a D tier movie. Ill. Just ill.
Get out of here.
Even though Aristocats was awful, you know what isn't bad? Fire's Robin Hood, Fall of Nottingham. I mean Robin Hood. But in all seriousness, Robin Hood, although it does use a lot of the old scenes from Jungle Book and rehashes a lot of dancing scenes, because obviously, you know, Walt Disney had died, they were going through financial troubles, you know, power struggles. But overall, for what they made, Robin Hood is a very fun film. I really love Robin Hood and Little John. Prince John is just hilarious. And the whole story is just really well done. And it's quick and to the point. And the highlight is obviously the villain. But the other characters are really good too. Like the friar. Robin Hood's love interest is actually interesting, which is usually not a theme in these Disney films.
It's rare for this time in Disney.
Yeah. And you know, Little John's just basically Baloo. But since I love Baloo so much, I'll give it a pass. But all the other characters are really well done and it's really fun. I love how Robin Hood tries to disguise himself to go into the tournament, but the sheriff immediately recognizes him, except for Little John, or not Little John, Prince John. Prince John doesn't know any better because he's an idiot. But it's really funny how everyone realizes, hey, wait a minute, I think that's Robin Hood. He's like, nah, no way, no way.
It's such a funny dynamic. And plus, even though Prince John is a threat in this, like being the antagonist, he's so funny where like you don't feel like, stop being a shit, you know, whatever. It's Prince John, who cares? But like this movie is really funny, it's very charming, and also they have an underrated song, like the Ooda Lolly song, I think towards the beginning or like the middle is really good.
But it is weird. The only weird thing is the narrator, the rooster narrator, being like, well, this is what happens to the Robin Hood. I'm like, why are you here? We don't need a narrator. You only speak at the beginning and the end or middle.
It was giving Rockadoodle, and I was for a split second like, no, not again.
Yeah, but overall they got us out like that. This movie is very fun to watch. Little John and Prince John to me are the highlights. I mean, I can't, again, Baloo, I love Baloo.
So many Johns, but yeah, this is
too many Johns. B tier movie, really fun. Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. The real Disney mascot.
I love Winnie the Pooh.
You know, you got Mickey
Perfect
Mouse,
film.
but the star of the show is Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, bother.
I mean, this movie's really weird. Even though I watched it so many times, it's kind of hard to describe because, again, it is episodic. It's like, it's a book. It's a story.
Yes.
But it's really just down to earth, very chill. Just Pooh having a fun time with his friends.
It's such the coziest movie, and like every time I watch this, I feel like I'm getting a warm hug. It's, oh my god, I love it so much. The music, the opening makes me cry. I don't care. It's so cute. I love Pooh, Eeyore, Rabbit, Kangaroo, Piglet, Tigger, Owl. Oh my god, it's like the perfect comfort movie. I love it so much, and it's so wholesome.
Yeah, it's really hard to find problems with this movie, and it's really hard in general to really dislike Winnie the Pooh. It's like, have you ever seen anyone like actively say they don't like Winnie the Pooh?
They don't exist. They're bots.
What's that mean? Like, I haven't seen one person in all my time going to Anaheim where I've ever seen somebody like be like, I don't like Winnie the Pooh.
They don't exist.
It's just very wholesome and it's just enjoyable. Yeah, it's like a cozy movie you just watch over and over again and not be bored.
No, it is really, really funny too. Like, just the dynamic between Piglet and Pooh is hilarious, but also Pooh and the narrator, it's honestly is comedy gold. Yeah, the fourth wall breaks are pretty good. Overall, S tier, one of probably our personal favorite because we grew up with Winnie the Pooh, but even biases aside, this is still a very enjoyable film. But you know what's not an enjoyable film? The Rescuers. And I mean, wow, this movie. Why did it exist? Why didn't
this movie did not feel like it exists? Yeah, it is just rough. It's like, wow, how do you make a worse version of Cruella de Vil?
You just throw her into the swamp, I guess.
Yeah, you send her down to Louisiana being like, cook, and she can't cook. It's terrible. This movie is boring. The mice are boring. The little girl, it's like, I don't care. The main villain is, yeah, again, a Temu version of Cruella de Vil, and she doesn't work at all. She is awful. Her pet alligators, boring.
Literally, you could take out Temu DeVille and just have the alligators be the main villain, and they would add so much more.
I don't think that's how it works. You just eat the poor girl and be like, "Arr."
I mean, they had personalities, they had voices, they were talking.
That is true. But this movie is really rough. And I mean really, really rough. I was going in this movie thinking it can't be that bad. And somehow my expectations were low, but they got even lower with this film.
It's just a shock how nothing this movie is. It's like, it's nothing. It's like going back to even like, I want to say what, Jungle Book, Cinderella. Those are better movies. Like, this is more nothing. This is like Lady the Tramp level, man.
It makes Lady the Tramp look like a film in comparison.
Exactly.
You have to go in D tier. One of the bottom barrel movies that, for some reason, got a sequel. But we're not there yet. We have to wait for that one. But how did this get a sequel? I'll never know. You know what? The Fox and the Hound is a very cute film.
Yes.
It is such an adorable complex between Todd and Copper, how they grow up, the tragedy, you know, him having to be hunted down because of the accident with the other dog, and then finally setting up to his friend after saving him from the bear. It's a very good film. It has such great scenes, like Todd being, you know, thrown into the woods by the grandma. That was sad.
It was hard. This film is very heartbreaking and emotional at points. And
yeah, which is kind of insane because it's Fox and the Hound. I'm thinking, how emotional can it be? And then it's like, oh no. Oh no.
It's like, oh.
So sad. The music's really good, but it is funny though how the owls, like, they're the best of friends even though they just met.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is one of the few Disney movies with a time skip in the movie. So they probably are. We're best friends. We got to watch the sequel to find out. I mean, the Disney DVD sequel.
And how good was that? Oof. But fake sequel aside, as a movie, The Fox and the Hound was great. Todd and Copper are such interesting villains. Even the weird random side filler moments with the two birds wanting to eat the caterpillar.
Hold on. You said Todd and Copper are interesting villains?
Oops. The real hero was the bear trying to kill them. Oops.
The bear was trying to save us. No.
Oh my god. What did I? Okay, wait. Back up. Fake sequel aside, Todd and Copper are interesting heroes, your main characters. They really feel for them as they get torn apart by basically circumstances. Let's just be real here. But even the filler scenes with the two birds trying to eat the caterpillar, even that doesn't last long. And we mainly focus on the two main characters, what they're going through, which is really well done. It's really such a good film that I totally forgot about it growing up as a kid, but watching it now, it's like, yeah, I can see why people really love this film. It's way better than Bambi, way better than Lady and the Tramp, and I dare say way better than Jungle Book. I'm shocked to say, but this movie kind of deserves to be in like high beats here. It's really that good.
It is. It's a good watch, and like honestly, just Todd and Copper's dynamic is very weird to say because they're animated characters and they're both like animals, but like it's very relatable. Like just to like growing up, like sometimes you have friends that you just grow apart, and it's just a very, very wholesome story, even though there is like a lot of like big tragedy and like their friendship gets torn apart, but a very good story at the end. It's very like very, very good movie.
I too once had a gun pulled to my head. No, too bad.
Just keep that in there.
But yeah. You said it.
Oh God, it's time.
It is time. We have finally made it to the black hole of Disney, the Disney era. Out of all the movies, you know what's crazy? A little spoiler alert, but when we watch Wish, we watch the ending scene, right? Where they show everybody. They literally showed every single movie, even Chicken Little, even Dinosaur. For all the movies I consider really bad, they showed it, except for one. And what movie was that?
The Black Cauldron.
Yes.
The worst piece of shit movie I've ever seen.
It is. It's like so bad. And I don't get how people are like, it's a cult classic. No, it is just an awful film. There is nothing redeeming about this film. The main characters are all assholes. They are all boring jerks. The pig, what's with the pig? They need to see where the black cauldron's at, but they don't know where the black cauldron's at. Until the pig sees it, they don't even need the pig anymore. The guy's like, oh yeah, you know, we don't really need the pig anymore. We just follow these idiots, and they lead us right to the black cauldron. Then why'd you need the pig? It's just, my God, the villain, you know, he's cool looking. He looks like a modern Skyrim villain you'd see, but there's really not much to him. And wow, what can I say about the Golem character? I forgot his name. What's his name?
I don't want to remember his name.
Exactly.
Fuck it.
Nobody wants to. He's just so bad that you actually kind of cheer when he's about to kill himself.
It was literally the hypest moment. Like, I know that meme gets played so much, but literally that was you and me watching that. We're like, yeah, finally.
And I can't believe they brought him back to life. I was like, you monsters. They're the real villains. But yeah, the main character is an egotistical jerk who doesn't really learn how to become a hero or be brave. The princess is not even a princess. I don't even know why she's there in the first place. She's just forgettable. It doesn't really do anything. And the finale climax with all the undead bringing back to life, it's like, we've seen all the stuff that what could have been with Katzenberg didn't ruin it. But even then, the movie probably would have been like D tier still. It is that bad.
It's not good. And also too, like, I don't know where I heard this from, but it literally looks like Zelda CDI, but a movie. It's so bad.
Yeah, that kind of encapsulates it. It's not so bad it's good like that. It's just bad.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's bad.
Like, comparing it to Zelda CDI, it's just an insult to the Zelda CDI animations.
Throw this movie to the pit. It deserves to burn.
Honestly, yes. Throw it into the pits of Mordor to never be seen again. This is F tier. Just, I can see why Disney probably should have went bankrupt because of this movie. Everyone says the Little Mermaid's the start of the Renaissance, but for some reason, I like to associate it with the Great Mouse Detective because, my God, after the Black Cauldron, how are they able to make this great film? But the real standout is Ratigan. I mean, my God, Vincent Price does such an amazing job as
Iconic.
being the villain. His interactions with Basil are some of the highlights of the film, and it's hilarious that once he traps him, the only way he's gonna die is that after he finishes listening to a diss track he made on him. Then only then, after a convoluted way, just to destroy certain things, and then he dies. It's like, my God, man, the complexities are so funny.
Honestly, it's really good. That part is hilarious. Ratigan goes from a silly joke villain at certain points to be able to switch up to be a super serious threat. Like, he's nonchalant about, oh yeah, no, I had my cat kill one of the people that I hated who was too drunk during my song.
Who called me a rat?
Exactly. And also could go to like, I'm gonna convolute this evil scheme and just legit have it to be this diss track and kill my most hated rival. It's honestly iconic. And this whole movie, just the use of like the CG towards the end is really good. Like when we first start to really see CG in these Disney movies, it's so good. It's very good movie. Highly recommend it.
And his whole scheme of putting a fake queen to kidnap the real queen to make him king, the ruler, is so insane. But with Ratigan, it actually works. It's so funny.
It just works.
But yeah, overall, The Great Mouse Detective, for me, is when the Renaissance truly began, because that's where the quality got better and better. And for as a movie, it is amazing. It is such a great mystery adventure that I'm shocked that people don't really talk about it as much as they should.
They really should.
It's very good.
Watch this movie.
It's like A tier good. It's like, wow. Very, very underappreciated, very underrated. Probably the real start of the Renaissance era. But after hyping up Great Mouse Detective being a great film, what did Disney do? They took 3 steps back with Oliver and Company.
They really did. This movie is just fine, but like comparing it to Great Mouse Detective is like, oof, they fell off.
Yeah, I mean, the cat is kind of boring. The Billy Joel dog is whatever. His whole crew is whatever. The whole story in general is just kind of boring and forgettable. The main villain is fine. I guess the real highlight, to be honest, is his death. And I mean, my God, that's an insane way to go, especially in a Disney film.
Yeah, he just exploded. It's crazy.
But it's just, again, it's just so boring, and it's just really not much going on in this film. Comparing it to Great Mouse Detective, it's like, what happened here? Why are we full of so hard? Don't get me wrong, the dog song is good. Yeah, it's Billy Joel hard carrying the song, but like overall, it's just Oliver Company is just not that good. How do you mess up a story that's set in New York City with Oliver Twist? How do you kind of make that worse? How do you mess that up?
It's honestly a shock because they did it, and again, not to use a Sonic comparison, but this is one of those cases where everything else is so mid or average, but the music carries it.
So basically, we're putting it in Sonic and the Secret Rings category. We're putting it in C tier.
Exactly.
Shout out that Wii game. My God, what an awful game. Nobody knew how to use the Wii remote. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. I'm not putting it in C tier. We're comparing it to Jungle Book and Cinderella. I'm putting it in the D tier, actually, with the other dogs.
Get down there. D for dog. Get back.
D for dog. Kick rocks. Just not even a good movie. Just a massive fall off from The Great Mouse Detective. But now we get to the Renaissance era, the real start for everybody. You know what I mean? And Little Mermaid.
That is an S tier. It's so good. The music is honestly either like number 1 or like number 2 in terms of like iconic Disney soundtracks. It carries the movie. The story is compelling. The main characters are phenomenal. you follow Ariel's journey throughout this story, and it's like really solid. Her whole arc is really solid, and like just everything with her interactions with Flounder, Triton, like her stuff with Triton, and also like with Ursula. It's really good.
I mean, yeah, Ursula is the highlight of the film. She is a great villain. I mean, my God, it is hilarious. She is hilarious, but it's like, my God, she's also very threatening. There's really not much to complain about with Little Mermaid. The music is great. The climax is great. Ariel is such a fun character to watch her go through life, you know, experience what the humans do, having no idea what any of this stuff is and trying to see what works and what doesn't. It's hilarious.
It's
and
so
Eric,
funny.
you know, even though Eric is kind of a blank slate, kind of, he's at least interesting enough. You know what I mean?
He is.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough to kind of complain about Little Mermaid when everything that works really works. And there's a reason why it's probably like a top 3 film. Top 5 at least.
It's so good. And like also too, just Under the Sea, oh my God, what's Ariel's song? I'm forgetting the name. It's like Part of Your World. So iconic. And Poor Unfortunate Souls. Like so many bangers. And they went so hard on this movie where like they probably thought, oh, this is just gonna be whatever, but it's considered a classic for a reason, and this movie is very, very good. Oh God. The Rescuers down bad. Ugh. This movie, honestly, to go from Little Mermaid, which is like peak, to this, total whiplash. And personally, they should have just been left in Australia in a glue trap and just eaten by the giant spiders that exist there. Spiders and snakes. It's so bad. So bad.
Australia's a scary place.
It is.
But yeah, the main characters, again, are boring. Somehow they're worse than the original ones because the male mouse is down bad. It's like, oh, it's like, just do it, man. It's so boring. The villain is not compelling. I really don't care they want to capture the giant golden eagle. And the other mouse, the Australian mouse, is
fine,
whatever. But again, all these characters are just so boring and forgettable. And then we have one scene where they're all in the cages talking to each other for way too long. Just like the one scene where they're in the Rescuers where they're trying to plan their escape and they talk for like 15 minutes. That's a whole scene for 15 minutes. And it's just like, oh my God, get to the point. Or like, go to a new scene, please. End this suffering.
You have the stupid koala there too, just being like, see, I told you it wouldn't work. It's like, shut up.
It's like, my God, everyone be quiet. It's just, man, this movie is just so rough. And again, you go from Green Mouse Detective to Oliver and Company to Little Mermaid to Rescuers Down Bad, and it's just like, what happened here? What's in this roller coaster?
But it's only up from here.
I mean, yeah, we all know what's coming up next. I mean, again, just like with Little Mermaid being almost perfect, I feel like that could be said about Beauty and the Beast, but instead of being almost perfect, the movie is literally perfect. Like, there's a reason why this is probably the only animated film ever to be nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. It's just, it's so weird for me to say this, but it's literally perfect. It is literally a perfect film. Like, Belle's compelling, Beast's backstory is compelling, Gaston is a great villain who at first, you know, is a cocky asshole, then becomes full-fledged like, oh, this dude's seriously messed up.
No, I was gonna say Gaston as a villain is so believable because at points where it's so scary just how much emphasis and power he has just being Gaston. Like he doesn't change as much throughout this whole story except for being semi a dick to, oh no, he's a villain. But like, it's so scary how much power he wields in this small town, and like just how easily he could basically, if he wanted to, like kill the Beast. I know like that's what he wanted to do at the end for, to get Belle, but just if he had more power, it's crazy. And just this whole movie, man, is so good. It's just Lumiere and Cogsworth, just their dynamic is so great and precious throughout this film, especially once you're in the mansion. And just seeing Belle and the Beast literally have a realistic romance towards the end, like where they're like coming together, like, oh, I know this is believable, even though this is extreme and he tried to kidnap her and it's nuts. But
again, she's not there on her, like she's not forced to stay there anymore.
No.
Associate that. I don't know why people forget about that. Whereas like, no, she can leave whenever she wants. She chose to stay and realize there's more to the Beast than, you know, him being a beast.
More than meets the eye.
Yeah, that's literally it. He is, oh my god, the Beast is a Transformer? I knew it.
Optimus Beast?
Optimus, no, oh my god. Beast Primal?
Ooh.
No, yeah, this movie is amazing. It's just the villain's amazing, the main characters are amazing, the songs are amazing. Be Our Guest is so good. Everything about it is just amazing. The CGI they use is also amazing. I mean, my god, the whole ball scene is just so impressive. The finale is great. Everything about this movie is just 10 out of 10.
It's the perfect film, some would say, but also the perfect Disney movie.
Aladdin is very funny. It's a very
Agreed.
funny film.
It's funny.
Yeah.
And its story is one we've seen because the original story is so old. Like we've seen it probably countless times. But in this retelling, it just works. Like you have like two comedic giants with Gilbert Gottfried and Robin Williams. Both like, I don't think they've ever interacted in the movie, but like just their presence alone elevates this movie to just like hilarious standards.
Yeah, Jafar as a villain is great as well. You know, his whole descent into madness when he finally gets the lamp is crazy. And yeah, it's very good. And you know what? Him being outsmarted by Aladdin, it's just what makes it so great. Because again, Aladdin outwits him the first time when Abu steals the lamp from Jafar.
Yep.
That's how they will escape. And again, it's just because of Jafar's own ego and his quest for power is what really brings him down, which is really well done. So many funny moments, so many random, like, you know, pop culture references. It works for the genie because, yeah, he's his otherworldly being. He knows everything, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
whereas you look at Merlin in making those semi pop culture references in Sword in the Stone, where it doesn't work because it just feels forced. Genie, like you said it perfectly. He knows everything. He's cosmic being. Of course he would do that.
the powers of the cosmos, itty bitty tiny space, itty bitty living space. The whole message of just being true to yourself. It's a good message, especially in Aladdin, with all the great animation and songs. A for Aladdin.
Yay.
First things first, rest in peace, my goat, James Earl Jones.
Rest in peace.
Mufasa is the greatest father figure of all time, and he played Darth Vader, one of the best villains of all time. Obviously the voice, you know, I think actually, yeah, the guy who's in the suit passed away too, right?
Yes, he did.
Dang, that sucks. But we're not here for that. We're here for The Lion King, and you know, wow, a Disney tier list talking about The Lion King. how original. But again, do we even need to explain how great The Lion King is? That literally everyone said thousands and thousands of times before. Probably millions.
And millions.
Yeah, it's just like the scenes are great, the cinematography is great, the music is great, Scar is great, Timon and Pumbaa are funny comedic characters. You know, the whole chase scene with the wildebeest is good. The finale fighting Simba fighting Scar is great. Be Prepared is amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's just so great.
all this goes to show this movie is fantastic and should never have been touched for a live action sequel. That's basically it. But what do we know? It made $1 billion when that movie came out. But the original Lion King, just like Beauty and the Beast, just like Aladdin, just like Little Mermaid, whenever you think of Disney, these are the movies you think of. It's so ingrained in not just pop culture, but just like, I feel like collectively as Gen Z and millennials, like it's ingrained in our minds, like, no, this is peak. This is like what Disney is all about. And like this movie hits all the notes, fantastic music, and honestly, just a fantastic story. If you haven't watched it, which I'm sure you all have, watch it again. It's that good.
And we can forget about the live action remake and Mufasa ever existing.
What live action movies? They never existed. Watch Lion King 1.5. That's a great sequel.
Yeah, Lion King 1.5 is the real sequel we all need to be in live action.
Exactly.
For me, it's 1A, 1B between Beauty and the Beast and Lion King. They're just what we all associate with Disney. That these are like the top two pillars of Disney animation. But now we get two movies, an S tier that are worthy of Oscar nominations, and they rightfully so did win Oscars. This movie was just Oscar bait the movie. Wow, Pocahontas. Wow, what an awful movie.
It is astounding how bad Pocahontas is when compared to everything else that came before it. It's nuts. Like this movie, oof, such a miss. Because
of one person, Jeffrey Katzenberg. I have no idea how he was able to cripple a movie this bad to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, you need to leave. You need to leave, buddy. I mean, where do I begin with Pocahontas? The music, one song is good. That's it. Savages is awful. The villain song about wanting gold, glorious gold. It's just awful. The villain in general is just awful. I mean, my God. But yeah, you try to do this weird comedic villain that doesn't work at all for what happened to the genocide of the Native Americans during like the 1600s is a bold statement. You know what I mean? And Mel Gibson is just bland. Pocahontas is bland. I don't care about her pet raccoon and her tree mother. Okay. Whatever. And then make it like a fantasy land about how they can communicate with each other. It's just like really, really rough considering that these are real life events. And it's like, what are we doing here?
It's very yikes.
And yeah, it's very embarrassing. And it's just, I can see why Katzenberg got the boot immediately after this movie flopped in theaters.
Deservedly so.
But there's really not much to say about Pocahontas. This movie sucks. Avoid at all costs. D tier. Just so bad. Oscar rate the movie you can just forget about.
Forget about it. Don't watch.
Or you could just watch the video for Colors of the Wind and that's it.
Only that.
Everything else, put it in the trash. The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
This might be the one where we have some disagreements on.
Apparently, I have a controversial take, but you go first.
Yeah, so I feel like I might be the only one, except my cousin, who thinks that this movie is good, but not as great as probably everyone else thinks it is. Now, don't get me wrong. This is like saying instead of being like an S or an A+, this is like an A- to a B+. It's not a bad movie at all. It's just, I personally think the music is excellent. There's no doubt about that. Quasimodo's song is great. The opening song of the Bells in Notre Dame, phenomenal. Literally, Frollo's song, where it's like Hellfire, that song is great too. The Cave of Mysteries or whatever the Fool song is, that's fine. But I just think personally, besides Quasimodo and Esmeralda and Frollo, everything else around it is like very okay to where like it just drags it down a bit slightly. Like especially the gargoyles, like, oh my god, I don't need to hear freaking George Costanza gargoyle saying, oh, I really want to fuck a goat, you know what I'm saying? It's like, shut up, you're annoying. And like the persnickety one also is annoying as well. Like, remove those and this movie is fantastic. And honestly, the other guardsman, he's just too bland for me. I'm sorry. I know he's like, sees the error of his ways, like, no, we must stop Frollo. But I feel like that's too little too late. And like, once we start getting to the climax, it's like, okay, he kind of gets pushed to the side where it's just about Quasimodo, Esmeralda, and Frollo. The big three. So besides those shortcomings, this is still a very solid movie. But I think personally, it's just a smidge below being great to me.
So you're saying it's a B+ player?
Exactly. And that's a good spot for you, Quasimodo. It's safe.
Frollo is the craziest Disney villain I have ever seen. The stuff he commits, burning down houses, witch hunt, sexual assault. I mean, my god, murder? Literal murder? Hello? And the attempted infanticide? My goodness gracious. Frollo is insane. And the music's great. You know, I love his out there song is great. Frollo singing about how he wants to, you know, oh god, I can't even say it. Esmeralda, it's just insane. And really, the only thing I really don't like about the film is that I wish the gargoyles were just imaginary in Quasimodo's head. It really didn't have an impact on the film. But apparently they're alive. So it's like, oh, that's kind of annoying. But overall, it's still a really good film. There is stuff that does hinder it, don't get me wrong, but the stuff that works really works, and the villain honestly kind of hard carries his movie.
Agreed.
Frollo like hard carries his movie. But I can still put it in B+ tier. Still an enjoyable movie, it's just Frollo is insane. You know, Hercules as a kid, I always really liked it, but after growing up and rewatching it again, the movie got better for me, which is kind of weird. It went from being great to like amazing in my opinion. Hercules is just so good. The opening shot going up to Olympus with the opening title is just amazing. You know, the whole intro with the what are they called?
The gods or the fates?
Yes. No, not the fates.
Oh no, the muses.
Yes. The opening scene with the muses talking about like what happened is just amazing. The music is great. You know, the whole vibe of Vegas is really cool. Hades is such a funny villain that I can see why he's constantly brought back for like projects, because you know he's just really nailed the role, even though again, fuck James Woods.
Fuck him.
But the movie's just so good. Hercules is such a great hero, you know. Danny DeVito is funny. The fight scenes are amazing with the Hydra, the Titans, and with Hades. Well, kind of with Hades, but you know.
Yeah, and I think an underrated character too is Zeus. He's just so comically funny, where it's like, I feel like because everyone else, like especially Hades and like him going off of pain and fear so much, like their comedy dynamic gets overshadows a lot. But just Zeus just has so many stupid one-liners that is like, okay, like, and his manners is too like, hum my boy, like just being like so much bro-y. I don't know. It's just really funny and charming.
He's a frat boy dad.
He literally is.
Yeah, everything is great in this film. Hercules, the little montage scene is so funny. Hercules, the character, is also great. You know, the whole I Want song is good.
Iconic.
It's like, wow, it's just a really, really great film that kind of went over for me. Like, it was like, it's so weird. Again, like I said, it was a great film for me, but then it got better when I rewatched it. It's like, wow, that's kind of crazy. It got better. An easy S tier movie.
Exactly. Hercules is also the perfect himbo, and like also just him and Megara's relationship is so sweet and wholesome, even though is birthed from like Hades trying to manipulate Hercules, but them coming together at the end and him.
You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?
Exactly.
But it's just a really good, you know, dynamic. That is really just the cherry on top to an amazing film. Mulan is an interesting film. It's kind of crazy how you have in the first half, you know, it's lighthearted, it's all fun. Mulan tried to be a man and try to like show her worth, and she finally does. Then everyone starts to work together and be friends. It's really cool, and the songs are amazing. You know, Eddie Murphy's hilarious, but the whole dynamic between the group is just so good. But then it's so crazy how they do a hard turn immediately to when they finally get to the war, and it's like, whoa, man, this is serious. And at first you think that'd be kind of like weird and like kind of hinder the movie, but if anything, it kind of helps amplify it. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that tonal whiplash is deserved, because at first it's like, you know, I feel like that's like sort of the classic war movie trope, right? Where it's like, yeah, we're getting to know the characters, it seems a bit lighthearted, but then once you get to the actual stuff, it's like, oh shit.
It's like,
now it's real. Yeah. And honestly, just to go off the main villain, like, some would say he is bland or like a one-note bad guy, but I think that works perfectly. Like, he is such like a force of nature, like someone to be reckoned with, where it's like, oh no, when the Huns are there, is literally like, what can you do? Like, the just going through the village is like seemingly leaving death and destruction in their wake. It's honestly crazy. And also just the ending scene too, the fight where he just gets outsmarted by Mulan, who he didn't know at first was the soldier in the mountain. Now he found out during that scene where he's like, oh shit. It's just great. It's such a perfect climax to this movie where it's really solid.
Yeah, I mean, Mulan, Mushu, even the cricket, shout out my boy the cricket who can never die. And the rest of them are just very good. And the funny meme of I thought you were a dude. You're a woman? Mulan is a great film that doesn't even have a live action remake, which kind of sucks because this movie should work in live action. Too bad it never has one.
It's really a shame.
Never will. Never. All right. Elsa and Anna's poor brother who got abandoned in the jungle.
Poor guy.
Remember that weird conspiracy theory everyone had? Or that theory?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hilarious. I remember those Tumblr boards.
It's like, don't even look alike. Tarzan is a good film. I mean, again, like I said, for the rest of the Renaissance era films, they all have amazing soundtracks. But I feel like this one, made by Phil Collins, is some of the best. One of the best. It's very good, and it highlights, you know, Tarzan's struggles and everything. I mean, You'll Be My Heart is so good. Strangers Like Me is amazing. And the action scenes are great. Tarzan fighting the jaguar, leopard, cheetah?
Leopard, I think.
Leopard?
Yes.
Okay, him fighting leopard was amazing. I mean, even the beginning scene with Tarzan's mom protecting him from the leopard, that was crazy. And Clayton is a great villain. What happened?
No, I was going to say, it honestly is, like you were about to say too, Clayton's a great villain. Like, his whole dynamic, he's the most human villain. Like, yeah, duh, he's human. But, like, his motivations are so simple. It's like, no, I just want to make money off of these gorillas. And whoever gets in my way, I'm going to kill him. And he fucking guns down Kerchak. It's like, bro.
I was kind of celebrating.
Yeah, me too, kind of.
He was an ass to poor Tarzan, who just wanted to be his son. To grow up to be just like him. Or like a strong gorilla.
Exactly.
But yeah, the whole climax, you know, the motivation for the villain is sound, which is eerily similar to another film that we'll get to, which also has a great villain. But Tarzan's use of CGI with the vines is amazing. Him going through all the action scenes, like rescuing Jane from the baboons, was great. Him fighting against Clayton was great. You know, him not stooping to his Clayton's level when he's about to shoot him. being like bluffing him, be like, do it, mofo. But it's like, nope, that was
so
great.
Perfect.
Tarzan's just a really compelling character. That he's just torn between two worlds that he has to choose from, but he doesn't have to choose. He can live with both now.
Exactly. This is just a very, very good movie.
That is the official end to the Renaissance era. It goes out with a bang. The Renaissance era had so many great films. You had Pocahontas and Oliver and Company, but still, just overall, just consistent bangers.
Exactly. And one that should not be named.
Exactly. Fantasia 2000 is such a weird film for me because overall it's basically the same as the original Fantasia, just with newer songs and newer animation styles, but it should work on paper. Some of the scenes do work, like the whale scene I thought was really well done. Even the flamingo with the yo-yo is not that bad, but overall it just doesn't work as well as the original one did, but still not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The only real negative for this film is some of the scenes, don't get me wrong, but the human scenes are they do feel really unnecessary, and they're just there to kind of pad time. Even with the original Fantasia, you did have the scenes with the conductor talking about the story, which doesn't really put it as a negative. It actually makes it even better. But with the celebrity scenes, it's kind of like it feels forced, and which is a shame because some of the animation is so good and so unique. Like the one with the oh my god,
Whales?
Not the whales. The other one with the woman, with the nature woman fighting the volcano, right?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
That one's really good. Probably the highlight of the film, but it gets really crippled by the needless addition of the celebrities, which kind of sucks because, to be honest, I'd probably put Fantasia in like B tier. Fantasia 2000 in B tier, right? But as it is, it has to go in C.
Yeah, I think if they just kept it with Steve Martin, then that would be fine. Maybe have Penn and Teller because I like Penn and Teller, but that's pretty much it. It's just, it drags it down and like makes what would be a pretty good movie to like an okay one, but still pretty solid if you just want to watch the actual music videos. Those are really good.
But here we go. Oh my god, Dinosaur. Okay, now growing up as a kid, this was my movie. I would watch this movie countless amount of times. Yep. I know all the characters' names like Crone, Bruton, fucking Aladar, the apes, the lemurs, Zinni, Jarl, Cleo, and the other one, the youngest one. My god, Ema, Baleen, Earl. I know this movie by heart, sadly. And I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but when comparing it to some of the worst with Sword and Stone and Black Cauldron, the worst I could say about it is that, yeah, they are just walking, but it's a dinosaur film. I get it. It's like dinosaurs walk all the time to get to places. But overall, it is, at worst, just kind of like a slow-paced film. The characters are not memorable, let's be real here. Maybe except for Crone, who is a decent villain. He's stuck in his ways to try to, he's just trying to protect the herd, you know what I mean, from the Carnotaurs and the impending doom of the meteorite. Right. But the Carnotaurs are also a good villain as the opposing force, they have to work together to defeat. But the music's good. I really like the music.
The opening soundtrack is so iconic, and that panning shot of just the pterosaur when you're following the egg, it just goes out to the whole valley of dinosaurs. So beautiful. That's amazing. And honestly too, the Carnotaurs get underrated because they're carnivores, they're Carnotaurs. So they're just dinosaurs at the end of the day. But they are I say they're done perfectly to where like they feel like how do we even beat that, or like how do we even survive against this? Because honestly, they're set up so perfectly to where it really has to take every character to just sort of not even beat them, but just get around them and just survive towards the end. And low-key, the Carnotaurs, I would say, are probably the scariest Disney villain in all of its pantheon, if I have to say that, because that shot when they're in the waterfall is so tense. It's like, oh shit, we can't make any sound. We gotta like try to survive this. It's really good. I personally think it's underrated.
Are there flaws in this movie? Yes, there's a lot of flaws with this movie. The main characters are kind of forgettable and bland. You know, they're really like just, there's nothing to them. They're really just kind of bland characters. But the animation, I get, is kind of outdated. The shots of the background are actually real places they actually used, which is kind of impressive to see how well they made it work with the animation and the CGI. But overall, Dinosaur is not the best, obviously, but when comparing it to some of these other duds, like Black Cauldron, Sword of the Stone, or like Pocahontas, it's much more bearable to sit through when comparing it to those films. So, C tier, at least.
At least, but it's the king of C tier.
Yeah. I think, personally, with the original script, it probably would have been better, because it's much more intense, but they're probably like, this is too intense for children, so like, which sucks. But I look up the original stuff for this movie, it is kind of insane. The Emperor's New Groove is a very funny film. Probably the funniest film out of all the Disney movies. I mean, every joke hits. The stuff with Kronk and Yzma, Cusco, even John Goodman as Pacha is really well done. I mean, yeah, this movie is just so funny.
It's so funny, but also Peru represent Peru. This movie is it's just really funny. It also a really good story, like pretty good of like just seeing Cusco's evolution from being a horrible person to now like having a true change of heart and being friends with Pancha, who he hated during this whole movie. It's really good. And plus Kronk and Yzma, they steal the show. They're literally, if we didn't have Cusco and Pancha, they would be the main characters because of how funny and charismatic they work off each other, and also just how much aura they have. It's hilarious.
The Emperor's New Groove just has so many iconic moments, so many iconic funny moments. Like the Kronk making food for them is so funny, and the whole chase scene is just timeless. And Kronk talking to squirrels, his spinach puffs is just so good.
Him talking to himself.
Yeah, him talking to himself, and them like acting like what the hell is going on is so funny. That this movie is just great. I can't put it S tier because these are some of the most iconic Disney films, but it does deserve to go in A tier. Probably the funniest Disney film of all time.
Agreed.
Now you want to talk about underrated movies. Atlantis of Lost Empire. I thought at first was not going to be good because back in the day, the Disney, the Dinosaur DVD always would have this trailer out before the movie would start. So I always see it and be like, you know what? It looks interesting, but I don't really care for it. But finally now watching it as an adult, it is pretty good.
Honestly, shocking how underrated it is. Like in this era, like the only problem is that it didn't make enough money for Disney, quote unquote, and like having a big impact. But Milo is such a, I don't want to say perfect, but like he's such a good Disney protagonist that like you want to follow his journey to not only prove to the scientists there about Atlantis, but also live up to, I believe it's his grandfather, his sort of adventure spirit, and also to like the billionaire that's funding him. And you really follow his journey. And plus the characters he meets, just the whole, I guess, digging crew or like archaeology crew that he meets in the first part, so iconic. Their dynamics are great, and just them opening up to Milo and like sort of making him one of the gang is great. And also just them once they get to Atlantis and you see Rourke just pull the mask off and be like, I want to consider myself an adventure capitalist. Such a banger line, but also him just killing Kita's Peter's dad is like, damn, he is heartless and he's just in it for the money. It's crazy. And plus, one of the most brutal Disney deaths, I think, that like not enough people talk about is like, my dude, he becomes solid matter and just explodes. It's like, Jesus.
It's like, goddamn. Man, the whole band of misfits are amazing. Rourke is, again, an amazing, really underrated villain that doesn't get talked about. He's like a better version of Clayton, but he doesn't really change, to be honest. It's just him being a villain, like a true villain. Just being like, yeah, he's in it for the money. Everyone else is in it for the money, but they just had more of a conscience in him when not wanting to kill an entire race of people.
Yep.
But he never changed.
No,
they did.
I think the one, he didn't change. And I think the one guy said it best is like, before there was no people, like it was just them stealing for cribs. Now it's different.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, chill. And it's like, nah. I mean, they knew what they were signing up for. It's like, dang. But overall, a very, very underrated film that I'm shocked kind of doesn't get talked about a lot, especially when one movie really doesn't deserve to get talked about as an underrated classic. But this one really is an underrated classic. Okay, I have my opinions about the live action remake of Lilo Stitch. Does it look good? No. Is it probably going to be bad? Yes. But the movie hasn't come out yet, so I have no opinion on it. But I feel like we all know where this is going, especially with the streaks of Disney remakes that we've seen recently. That being said, there's a reason why this movie got put in live action so fast. It's because the first one, the original one, Lilo and Stitch, is amazing. It is peak Disney and could honestly fit right in with the Renaissance era films. That's how good they are.
Oh no, it's so good. The story is just so heartbreaking, where it's like, God, you feel for both Stitch and Lilo in this movie, and it's like, no, you just want them to be happy and have a family. And once they do, and they have like their Ohana at the end, it's so beautiful. It's on paper, this premise is insane with like aliens and all this stuff, but legit, once you start watching this movie, literally not even like 5 minutes in, you're just hooked. It's so good. The music's great. Just the whole story with Stitch, Lilo and Stitch, is phenomenal. And plus, also too, you have Gantu, you have Jumba and Pleakley as like they're sort of like offhand protagonists. Well, Gantu is more of the protagonist towards the end, but like they're just sort of like mucking around, and it's just really funny, so wholesome. It's just like a very, very good movie.
Yeah, the whole dynamic with Lilo and Stitch being lost and not having their own full, a broken family, but once they finally get all fixed together, have their own little family sort of united, it's great. There's no real, Gantu's the villain, but like, he's not really that interesting. Obviously you have the TV show and the other movies to work with, but as it stands, he's all right. But the main dynamic, the main problem is like, violence between Lilo, her sister, and Bubbles, and Stitch. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The whole thing just spiraling apart. And it's very well done. It's very good. It's very tragic. It's crazy how good this movie is. And it's like, man, it could literally fit right in with the Disney era Renaissance films. The peak of 2000s Disney movies. Treasure Planet. For some reason, everyone likes to consider this an underrated classic, but I don't get why Atlantis doesn't get the same amount of love that Treasure Planet does, because to be honest, Atlantis is a way better film than Treasure Planet. Treasure Planet, the real highlight of this movie is the relationship between John Silver and Jim. That's really it, because to be honest, the rest of it is kind of bland, and once we get to Treasure Planet, the movie takes a hard nosedive into what was honestly a very okay film.
Yeah, and that, I don't want to even talk about the planet stuff, but just really quick, talking about the journey, it's so good too. Like the whole dynamic, the art style, yeah, it seems very contrasting and stuff. It doesn't make sense, but I think just having it be so unique of like this Victorian cyberpunk space world is so unique. Like I don't think we've ever seen that before, ever. And still, like it holds up. But you're right. Once we get to Treasure Planet, it just becomes like any standard, not even Disney, but just any standard children's movie. Where like now we got to, oh my God, I hate to say this, but once we get to like the part of the book, I'm assuming where like you see the guy who's stranded on the island or the planet, Martin Short robot. Hot take, more annoying than Jar Jar Binks, are on that same level. It is really bad. And Martin Short's funny, but not in this movie. It's just so bad.
Yeah, it's kind of rough because, again, the scenes with John Silver and Robin are so well done that it kind of sucks that the journey is actually more entertaining than the destination was. Because, again, those two character dynamics it's so good that I wish it was in a better movie. Because as it is, if you just remove those characters, this movie is like really, really bad, like D tier material. But since they really just kind of have to carry the movie by themselves, it sadly has to go in C tier. Like, I get it. That dynamic is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But the whole movie as itself is not what I would consider like underrated. In my opinion. It's just not worthy of having like that kind of moniker on it when it should go to like Atlantis. I mean, my God, look at the scores between them. I mean, my God, how did this score better than Atlantis did?
Again, I think it's just the unique art style of just like that cyberpunk Victorian futuristic setting, which is still unique. It's very striking.
You could have done so much more with it.
Exactly. And I feel like there was more, like this had so much troubled backstory, like production history, that like there probably was more. But I think for what we got, it's fine. But saying this is an underrated classic when Atlantis is right there, or hell, you have Great Mouse Detective, which is right there, is like, nah, that ain't it.
Honestly, you know what's weird? For Brother Bear, it's like Tarzan with the Phil Collins songs. You know, he like sings the songs for them. But it's weird. For Tarzan, they work really well and like get the point across and get, you know, the emotions out for each character. But for Brother Bear, it kind of feels out of place. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where like he's like telling Coda about like Kim killing his mom.
Like, yeah, no, that scene is just so, with Phil Collins, it just seems so funny. Like, it doesn't seem real. It's like too much Phil Collins.
It kind of ruins the mood. It's just like, Brother Bear, I failed you. I'm sorry, my Brother Bear. And it's like, are these real lyrics?
Yeah, and it's like, they also try to have a normal conversation with the two characters, Joaquin Phoenix and Baby Bear. And it's like, bro, why are you talking? And he's trying to tell the story of what happened. And then you have Phil Collins literally singing in the background. It's like, you got to pick a lane, man.
Yeah, it just feels so out of place in comparison to like how they did it in Tarzan. In Tarzan, it worked. For here, it just feels so weird. Which kind of sucks. You know, the movie's boring, don't get me wrong, but the beginning was actually really well done.
The beginning is phenomenal. And honestly, Joaquin Phoenix, his vocal delivery as Kenai is really good. But other than that, it's just a boring romp around I'm assuming, prehistoric Canada, North America. So it's like, what are we doing?
The finest Brother Bear.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing, yeah, it's just boring. I mean, the other bears are there too. When they finally get to the salmon run, whatever you call it. The salmon run. Yeah, that. It's just like, oh, it's so dull.
It really is.
And I feel like I have to put it, I feel like I can't put it with Treasure Planet. It has to go like a D+.
Yeah, it's a solid D+ movie.
You know, I like Coda and Kenai, you know, their brotherhood, their bond, whatever. That's fine. But everything else is just so bland and so boring. And the moose. Oh my God, the moose.
They're funny for a little bit, but then they get really annoying.
Like, please leave me alone. Like, Brother Bears, eat those moose.
Exactly.
It's like, my God, get them out of here. But overall, just a rough movie. Home on the Quaid.
Home on the Quaid.
Oh dear, Home on the Range. This is kind of sad that it's the last Disney animated theatrical 2D release.
For a while.
This movie sucks. This movie's awful. The characters are awful. I really dislike the main character. She is so boring. Yeah, I mean, the cows suck. I don't care that the farm is going away. I really don't care.
It's honestly really funny.
His whole plan, Randy Quaid's whole plan is just to take control of the area by hypnotizing the cows and then selling them to get the land. And it's like, okay, what? With his yodeling. And it's sad to say, it really pisses me off, but that's the only highlight of the movie is the villain.
Yep, 100%.
Huckabee Slim over there is actually a good villain, which kind of sucks because, you know, this movie is just awful. The cows are annoying. The horse is annoying. You know, the twist villain that was meant to be the hero to the horse is just there. I mean, my God, he didn't add anything to the plot.
He really didn't. And honestly, the worst thing about this is you have fucking Randy Quaid and Roseanne Barr. It's like, oh my God, why am I watching this?
Yeah, you got the goddamn QAnon cows over there. I mean, my God, what an awful, awful movie.
I mean, art imitated life for like his recent, or not even recent, just his past TikToks, where literally shot for shot look like this fucking yodeling from this movie.
Except without the seizures.
No, with the seizures.
Yeah, with the seizures. But yeah, no, this movie is dull. The side characters are awful, especially when they cut back to the farm. My God, that one pig is so annoying. Makes me want to cry. Just how bad this movie is.
It really is. It feels like a very C+ DreamWorks movie, but it's a Disney movie, which makes it worse.
D. Low D.
Low D.
I feel like we said this over and over again as, like, you know, personally, that we talked about this movie a lot just to see how bad it is. But Chicken Little overall is it's a very ironic film, considering that it's basically what DreamWorks made fun of Disney for, and they basically became what DreamWorks was making fun of them for. They literally became their own meme, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna do shitty pop culture references, do all this shit, and be a shell of what we used to be. And it's just so embarrassing that they tried to do the Shrek route where they didn't understand what made Shrek so great. And this movie is just so unapologetically awful that my brother and I attempted to rewatch this film and take a shot for every, like, pop culture reference. Literally by the 5-minute mark, I think we took like 10 shots. That's how many goddamn pop culture references in this stupid film. And there's unfunny jokes, there's unfunny characters, there are ugly characters, there are awful characters. Chunk Buck, I wish, was dipped into a pot of oil to make it to some chicken wings. He is the worst dad ever. And I love it how when Disney tried to post about him for Father's Day, everyone dunked on that tweet so hard that they had to delete it. That's how bad this movie is. But to be fair, shockingly enough, I'm gonna go back on my word on this. It is actually a little bit better than Black Cauldron, because I would rather be forced to watch Chicken Little for the rest of my life, and I had to choose between watching two movies, The Black Cauldron or Chicken Little. I'm gonna take Chicken Little, even though it is awful. It is embarrassingly bad for Disney. This movie is still, it has like what? Maybe 2 good things about it. 2 good things. I can only name one thing for Black Cauldron, and that's the pig. For Chicken Little, I like the little alien baby, and I like the mishap between trying to find acorns for the aliens. That's funny, at least. You know what I mean? The pop culture shit is awful, but at least there's stuff you can see that's like, all right, that's one good thing or one okay thing. It's just, man, Chicken Little is just embarrassingly rough, and it makes me sad that this is a Disney film. It doesn't even feel like a Disney film. It feels like those bootleg movies you see, like It's a Jungle or It's a Car's Life. Those type of movies that are just so cheap and so bad that they fool poor grandmas into buying them. This is Chicken Little in a nutshell. Just pure, unapologetic, awful, just slop. It is slop. It is literally just slop that 2-year-olds will get bored of watching.
No more words have to be said because this movie is so ass. It is a waste of oxygen debating how bad this movie, because we all know. And also I'm looking at literally the poster, which is just a fucking Men in Black ripoff poster. That says it all. This movie, sure, it was supposed to have a different story and maybe it would have been better, but for what we got, this is horrible. But I have to agree, if I had to choose between this and the Black Cauldron, I'd rather choose Chick a Little, because at least there's stuff to actually kinda latch onto and kinda enjoy, whereas Black Cauldron is just literally nothing, a pit of despair. But this is like literally, oh, would you rather get punched in the dick or kicked in the dick? You're not gonna win. And my God, this movie only exists to be made for YouTube poops, stupid TikTok edits, and that's it. It's a joke of a movie, and I can't believe it's a Disney movie. Again, it literally feels like a D+ Illumination movie, or even What If Blue Sky's worse. It's crazy that this came from Walt Disney Studios. Crazy.
And the poster has a stupid porcupine, which is like, it's not even a character. I don't even know what the porcupine even is. They don't even have the ugly duckling, because she's so ugly, didn't want to be part of the poster.
She was so ugly that everybody died. Yep. The end. But
every character is an asshole. Nobody cares about them. But that being said, it's still better than Black Cauldron, which is kind of sad. All right, we were out of the abyss and into a weird era of Disney with the CGI, like not looking too good, but you know, slowly progressing further and further. And Meet the Robinsons. You know what? I like the main characters. I like Lewis and Wilbur. I like Goob. He's funny. The other characters I don't really care for. I mean, I don't care about the grandpa. I don't care about the uncles and aunts, and the one with the puppet. I don't really care about them. I don't care about the octopus. I don't care about the ones living in the bush, weirdos. But I feel like they're not the main focus. Obviously, they're just there to be like, oh, you know, Lewis is a family. You know, spoiler alert. But it's still very good. I like the message. I like, you know, the ending's very good. And I was just talking about this with my brother, that I feel like this would have been the perfect, like, kind of like 100th anniversary movie for Disney. Because this feels more like an homage to like the classic era of Disney than another movie did, or at least another movie attempted to do. But we won't get to that. Oh, God. Now you make me think of Wish. No.
Oh no, spoilers, God. But it's coming up soon. But like
sadly coming up.
Yeah, but this movie, I feel like we've been offline, we've been kind of like harsh on it, just talking about this movie, but there is a lot of good elements to it. Lewis and Goob's dynamic is really interesting, and just seeing the parallels of basically both their stories and life in this movie, of like which each path they went down just because of this one day. Yeah, and like you nailed it on the head. This feels like an homage to not even classic Disney, but just also ironically Disneyland in general, because when you go to the future, they literally have quotes. It's either a quote or like a reference, but like they reference Tomorrowland from Disneyland a lot in this movie, I think, for like a lot of the scenes in the future. But like this feels like, you know, the perfect encapsulation of, oh, you're in the future, and like, oh, it's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and like you could kind of see and do anything. And that's kind of the beauty of it, where like the future area is interesting enough when you get glimpses of it. But my big problem is that we don't see enough. We're just in the house, which I get because you got to see the family. But for the most part, with all the green hills, it looks like a Windows 7 background. You know what I mean? So like, there's obviously stuff that could have been improved, but for what it is, a really solid, fun film. And honestly, the main takeaway, even if you don't watch it but just see clips, just Goob's whole tragic backstory. It's so darkly hilarious that it's really funny and a really good scene. It perfectly encapsulates this film.
Exactly. A B-tier movie. I wouldn't really call it underrated, but I would say watch it for the ending and watch it for Goob if you really want to. John Travolta. What a resume. He had Pulp Fiction, Grease, and Bolt. Bolt. It's
Bolt.
mid. If you want the perfect definition of what a mid Disney movie is, it's Bolt. It's like, it's not, I can't consider it good. I can't consider it awful or bad. You know, there's some scenes I like Bolt saving Miley Cyrus from the Inferno by barking using, you know, from like the TV show. That's pretty funny.
It is.
But yeah, the whole cross-country road trip back to Hollywood to try to act like a real dog, whatever, is just, who cares? And did that cat really expect him to stay as a friend instead of going home to his owner? Come on. I mean, I get it, but like, let's be real here.
It's very goofy in that regard, but also too, like, I get, maybe it's because when we watched it, it was like kind of nostalgic for me now, where like, I feel like the stuff with Bolt and the cat, I forget her name, so don't try to make me remember, but it was really fun, their dynamic where they started to become friends instead of like, you know, how the movie was just like, oh, she's just using him and Bolt's just an idiot. Well, Bolt's still an idiot, but like, they're at least starting to warm up to each other. But the main person that I don't like is Rhino, the stupid hamster.
Damn, I was gonna say the hamster. You remember the hamster, but not the poor cat.
No, I remember it because I hate him. Because he's so annoying, and at certain points when I think the cat just wanted to like throw him into traffic, I'm like, please do it. Because it's like, okay, we get it, you're a huge Bolt stan, whatever. But for what it is, it's a very, we've seen the story countless times, but like, it's a very cutesy story, very nice, happy ending. But overall, like, in terms of like this era Disney and just in general, it's just average at best. It's just an average film. It gets the job done.
That's all you can ask for. Report John Travolta.
Yep.
You're going into C tier for mid. The perfectly mid movie. Le Princesse et le Frog. You know what? It is really weird because this movie I feel like should have been an S tier movie. I actually really enjoyed it. The music's great. You know, the dynamic between the dude and Tiana. I forgot his name actually. Oh my god. I just watched this recently too. What the hell?
Nazim?
Yes. They're great. It really is crippled by the fact that they're frogs for the majority of it. It's really weird how that's a hindrance on what was so far a very good movie. I really enjoyed it.
It feels like this era of Disney where like, and it's only with like the characters like people of color, but like as soon as they get something interesting, they become an animal or they become literally any other character besides themselves, basically. And it's very, it's not a good look, Disney. Quit doing that, even though they did it with Soul just like a couple years ago. But like this, for what this movie is, it's honestly very good. Like in terms of like I feel like the big princess movies, this is like a nice throwback to that sort of era with like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, where you really get like this sort of classic Disney movie with a prince and a princess, and they're going on an adventure, like sort of like the modern Disney elements. You're going on an adventure, and then honestly, the movie's carried by Facilier. Like, it's honestly, his character is so peak. It's really good. Just like his whole intro song and everything else, just scheming with the prince's butler who wants to be the prince now. It's really good.
I mean, yeah, the Arbiter can do no wrong.
No.
Keith David is just amazing in everything he does, honestly. Like, name me one bad Keith David performance.
Exactly.
I can't think of anything. Like, Spawn is just amazing in this film. The music is great. I love the crocodile. I don't really care for the
Firefly.
The Firefly. I don't really care about him dying. I'm like, oh no. Thank God. I mean, I was like, oh no, he died. Anyway.
It's so funny. You just squished him, and it's like the saddest, supposed to be the saddest point of the movie. It's like, okay,
it is kind of crazy that that's the most evil thing he's done is squish the bug.
Yeah.
I mean, that we've seen, obviously, but it's still very funny. It's like, oh no, you squished the bug, you villain. You know, I like the crocodile who wants to play with the band for Mardi Gras. That's so funny. He's also hilarious. You know, Mama Odie's great too. The problem is the frogs. I get it, it's Princess and the Frog, but like, you're kind of there for a little bit too long. You could have cooked a little bit more without them being frogs, and it would have been amazing.
Oh yeah, and also too, this movie's soundtrack very much slaps. Like, this is probably the most upbeat Disney movie with like all of the soundtracks, including like the villain song and like basically all the music. It just has this nice jazzy upbeat. Well, they're in New Orleans, obviously, so it makes sense.
No, really?
But like, no, it's just really nice. Like, this music is amazing in this movie. I love it for it.
That being said, I wish this movie was the S tier movie. It's so good. I was really wanting to put S tier, but overall, it's like high B.
Yeah.
The frog stuff really kind of cripples it, which sucks because it was turning into something that could have been one of the all-time greats. But Tangled is amazing. This is a really fun film. You know, we can ignore Shazam being in it. You know, he got owned by Connor in Fortnite Fridays. That's fine. But the rest of it, Mandy Moore's amazing. The villain's amazing. The whole story to get to the Sea of the Lights is very great. You know, the whole reason why they put the lights in the first place. It's like, oh my God, it's for her, but she doesn't know it. I love Maximus Pegasus, the horse. He's great. I mean, he's hardcore. He really wanted to kill Shazam, and again, I don't really blame him. But
Can't blame him.
Overall, I'm kind of sad this movie never got as popular as some of the other Disney films of this era because it's really, really good. It's amazing in my opinion.
This is a very solid movie, and even though some points, like, I think this was like came out when like 3D movies were starting to get very big, and like every movie kind of at the time, especially animated movies with like 3D. So you get some elements where like, okay, they're kind of hamming it up to the camera, like the tavern scene, as good as it is, like there are some points where like, okay, this is supposed to be viewed in 3D. But other than that, animation is very great. Some of it still looks a little off because of today's standards, but not too bad where it's like, oh God, where it's like a trip. Like, this movie's story is great. Mother Gothel is low-key probably one of the evilest villains, and she's basically just, in like the grand scheme of things, just another retelling of like the evil stepmother from Cinderella, but worse because she just kidnapped the king and queen's daughter.
And she's dangerous. She knows how to wield a knife. She kills Shazam.
She did.
Which is pretty good, but like, you know, not good.
Thank God for that.
Not for that.
Yeah. But it's just, the plot's so simple with that. Like, her motivation is so simple. But she works phenomenally well. Just literally every single detail, it feels like she already has a plan to thwart Rapunzel's plan and just kind of manipulate and gaslight her back into the tower. And it's honestly crazy. And yeah, no, this movie just At Last I See the Light, that whole song and sequence, some of the best, I would say, CG animation that we get in Disney for a while. It's like so good. That scene is done phenomenally well, and the song is fantastic. And this movie is really, really good. I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't watched it in a while.
But I'm gonna put it in A tier. Honestly, deserves to be recognized more as like a major movie of Disney. It's worthy of, you know, being the one in the spotlight at least. What did you think of Winnie the Pooh? I mean, it can't even compare to the original one, but overall, you know, it's cute. It's like an hour long, which is kind of insane. But I mean, it's just Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, what more can be said? It's
Honestly,
Winnie the Pooh, and it just feels like a full-length feature film of the Winnie the Pooh cartoon from the 90s, which is not a bad thing at all.
I want a movie of Book of Pooh.
The Book of Pooh movie would go hard.
Bring me the puppets.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about this movie. I mean, it's just a cute little cozy movie like the other one, which is, you know, not on the same level, obviously. But I love, for some reason, I really love the Baxton song. I don't know why the animation done on that is so like cool and fun. That it's like, man, I wish we had some of this, more scenes like this in the movie.
Oh yeah, and it's also just, again, being Winnie the Pooh movie is very cute, but it's also just very funny as well. Like underrated, like it very much references the previous Winnie the Pooh movie, which is Pooh and the narrator, which I forget who the narrator voice is.
It's the kid from Shrek 2.
Yes, like they're
Was
him
it John
bouncing
Cleese?
off. I think, is it Don Cleese?
John Cleese.
John Cleese. Why is it Don Cleese?
Don Cleese. Is that the brother of Dom DeLuise?
But no, John Cleese being the narrator and just having that back and forth with Pooh throughout the story. It's really funny and cute. And also another thing too is just hearing Ice King voice Rabbit, which I'm like, oh, I know who that is. But
yeah, shout out Tom Kenny.
Exactly. But like, this movie's very wholesome, and the ending too, it feels earned in a way with just Pooh's whole resolution towards the end. And it's just a very wholesome movie. It's very good. It's not nowhere near as great as the original, but how can it? The original one's too perfect.
And that's why it belongs in B tier. A solid movie, but it sadly can't compare to the original. Wreck-It Ralph, I'm cringe, and that's alright. Wreck-It Ralph probably had the best twist villain in like this era of Disney. I mean, look, all these movies have twist villains, except for Moana, obviously. But like, out of these 4 movies, which one had the best twist villain?
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It Ralph. Because Turbo is such a great asshole that it's like you can. I thought I said Turbo has such a great asshole. I was like, wait, what?
Oh no!
I'm gonna wreck it. Oh no, Ralph, no. Okay, no. But the whole backstory with Turbo, you know, him being the true villain of Candy Crush or whatever it's called, is such an amazing detail. I'd be like, whoa, you know what I mean? Because like, damn, that mofo is crazy. And him gaslighting Ralph into destroying poor Vanellope's car is like, goddamn. It's like, hey, wait a minute. It's like, goddamn, you actually worked, you villain.
I would say for a while, this was probably the best video game movie that's come out. And not just that, but a very solid Disney movie with like, and who would have thought freaking Sarah Silverman and John C. Reilly being able to bounce back and forth with each other. They have great, honestly, chemistry. It's like Ralph and Vanellope. It's very, very sad when he breaks the car. It's like, oh my God, you feel your heart being ripped out.
He really is a villain.
Oh my God, that line. But like, also too, just Fix-It Felix and oh my God, the woman from Starship. Oh,
Glee,
yeah, from Glee.
That's right. I don't know why I never watched Glee, but that's the only reason why I remember her is that one meme. But again, it is weird though with the villains. It's like, why is it's a job, right? They see it as a job. So why it's like everyone like being afraid of them off work? You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh my God, watch out for the villain. It's like, I'm off duty, bitch. And then I'm not inviting Ralph to his own anniversary. Just cold. Those are the real villains. I would be like, screw those citizens. I'm killing them.
When he just like throws Gene off the building during the game, it's like, I feel that, man. He deserves it.
No, I would take Gene outside and just squish him.
Yeah.
Because God, that was the true villain of the story, not Turbo. Gene. Get rid of Gene.
Gene is F tier, but this movie, solid A. Honestly, it's borderline A or S for me personally. But this movie is great. That whole ending with the fight against Turbo, King Candy, fantastic. And
the message is good.
Exactly.
Just overall a very good Disney film. That no way. Too bad we never got a sequel for it.
Too bad.
Wish we did. I don't hate Frozen. I feel like I'm no longer in that bandwagon to be like, oh my God, it's just because it's popular means it's bad. There's some good elements. I like Elsa and Anna. They're funny. They're great sisters. I like some of the songs. Like Let It Go is not bad. Actually, Let It Go is not bad. And it's weird? That song with what's his name? The villain, the twist villain. Hans and Anna is actually, I like it. Is that weird for me to say? I actually like that song.
No, I like it too.
But yeah, Kristoff and Anna are like the best. They're funny. They work off each other really well. And there's a lot of funny scenes I forgot about. There's some stuff that doesn't work. I don't care for Olaf at all. Do you want to build a snowman? And the trolls, the rock trolls are awful. They are seriously the worst part of the film for me. Especially their song that they have. It is just so... It wastes so much time and it's just there for filler, it feels like. Like, why are you singing? We're in a life and death situation. You want to get married? You want to have kids? Like, whoa, chill. You're scaring the hoes.
The ho-ho-hos.
It's like, thanks, guys. You're ruining the only day I can have. It's like, oh, God. But I can't put this, like, in A tier because there's a lot of problems with it. The twist villain Hans is just, oh, my God.
Totally out of left field.
So dumb for so many reasons.
Besides Hans, honestly, is a solid film. It's one of those movies where, like, you kind of don't need a villain. If, like, they flushed out Elsa's dynamic and just had it be where she's just trying to control her powers but feels that she's slowly slipping away in the ice magic, that would be fine because you could totally get rid of the stupid twist villain that was literally not needed. And I don't know, this movie still would have worked. But for what it is, a very solid movie. I could see why it took off now, just because, I guess, marketing, but also just, it's a really solid movie that just clicked for a lot of people, that made it this huge beast that it is now.
But it also spawned one of the worst things ever. 2 words, Spider-Man.
Oh God.
If you know, you know. But all that aside, the movie, B or C, your call.
I would say B. It's nowhere near a C level movie.
Okay. I'll give you that one. Is there stuff I don't like about it? Sure. But I think the positives with some of the songs and Elsa and Anna's dynamic and Kristoff kind of put it above C tier in my opinion. So that's why it goes in low B. Big Hero 6. I'm going to give it a Big Hero 6 out of 10.
That's it. Ranking over.
Yep, ranking over. That's it. That's literally all it. C tier. Just, that was his mistake. Cool. Why? What? Okay.
Because fuck you.
Yeah, literally. It's like, okay, but you probably could have helped each other. You know what I mean? Like, we probably would understand. And it's like, okay, you want to kill this billionaire who made your daughter go missing or was assumed dead. He didn't care. That makes sense. You know what I mean? We've seen CEOs pass away because of negligence. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I can see the reasoning.
I see the vision.
I can see it and I understand.
Big Hero 6, I mean, as a movie, it's fine. That's probably the best I could say. It's just fine. But actually, no. Baymax elevates this, and just like Treasure Planet, just his dynamic with Hero, just like Jim and John's interactions in Treasure Planet, it literally carries this film. And like just seeing Hero's grief and just struggle, just to, like, not get back to normalcy, but just try to move on and, like Meet the Robinsons, keep moving forward from Tadashi's death. It's like very wholesome, and you feel for him the whole time, and especially towards the end when you quote unquote lose Baymax. It's like, fuck, no, why? But besides that, the other characters just bland. Maybe they're fleshed out better in the TV show that was airing, I think, a couple years ago, but in their debut movie, they're just bland. I'm sorry. They have cool designs, but like, one of them's TJ Miller, so no.
And he got glassed. He died.
He did. I saw it.
You know, Zootopia is a weird movie for me.
Really?
On one hand, the beginning stuff and the mystery is actually really well done. It's really well done. But then you get to this weird attempt with the racist, prejudice allegories, which they don't really want to attempt to go. They want to nudge it a little bit, but they don't want to go all in. And I think that's the problem with Zootopia. They should have picked a lane and either went for what they wanted to do or not do it at all.
By like doing this like sort of half-see, saying it but not really saying it, you end up saying nothing. And unfortunately, with
that's
that
the whole
aside,
point of the
just
film.
like, yeah, that's the whole point of the film. But with that aside, just following that storyline, they have a twist villain, which is like, come on, guys. Like, and I will just give it this. Bellwether is more believable as a twist villain, being sick of everyone's shit, especially the J.K. Simmons Lions bullshit. I could see that, but again, it comes too late. It's like, should this have been established earlier? Because by the time we get to that, it's like, oh, we have to go to overdrive for the rest of the story to happen. So again, the mystery is very good. Going to different biomes and lands is great. Just the whole Godfather reference in the Arctic is so hilarious. And just the whole mice chase, or the chase in the mice world, like the very tiny world, phenomenal. But just the story just says a whole lot of nothing, unfortunately. And also, just the twist villain isn't good. It would have been better if she had more screen time, but again, happens too late and just makes the story kind of have to catch up because of it.
Yeah, and the JFK subplot with the JFK assassination was really weird.
Oh my god.
I can't believe that's a real thing. That's so funny.
Oh no.
Zootopia 2 about abortion got weird.
Zootopia is weird.
But again, I wish we went into more areas of the biomes, because some of them looked really cool that we never got to go to. Like I think we're in the desert area for like a second with the nudist area, but I feel like for what it is, yeah, again, it's trying to say something but doesn't say anything at the same time. It's like, come on. For what it is, I think I have to put this in C tier.
Yeah.
Because it really drags what could have been a really good movie, like, severely down. And in Twist Villain, again, too little too late. It's like at the last 5 minutes. Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, come on. At least Hans had more screen time than that. And he's bad.
He really did.
It's embarrassing.
Even That's What His Mistake guy had more screen time than Bellwether.
Yeah. It's like, my God. Probably the worst Twist Villain of this era. Super Moana Sunshine is a great film. I love it.
A very, very, very good film with some of, I know I've been saying this a lot, but genuinely, I believe this, my personal top 5 favorite soundtrack and score of all the Disney movies. So good.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell when Lin-Manuel Miranda was missing during the sequel. I mean, my God, you can really tell with some of the songs. It's like, oh dear, there's a drastic change.
Night and day.
For this movie, it's really good. I love The Rock, the final boss. He's great. The whole journey to sea, to try to find, the heart, going through the different areas. It's kind of like episodic stuff, you know what I mean? But it works in Moana because it's to get to a destination for her to improve and try to, have more believe in herself. You know what I mean? It's like, she could do this.
And you see over the course of the story, she grows into her role as this adventurer and explorer. And you can see her just keep improving and improving. But by the time they get to the end, it's like, oh, she's just a pro at this. And it's like very believable. And it's so good and culminates in like a great final sequence.
I guess a little nitpick I have that there's no real villain, but for what the actual stuff that does happen, it makes sense why there wouldn't be like a true villain. At least when I count Tamatoa, but like he's not really he's like a side villain in the whole grand scheme of things. But even then, Tamatoa's great. I love his song. Shiny's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really good film. Honestly, the water effects are also amazing. Even the chicken's not annoying. The comedic chicken is not annoying as like Morph or like the robot from Treasure Planet.
Hey, you leave Morph out of this. Morph was fine in Treasure Planet.
Actually, that's true. It was Ben that was really bad.
Ben was bad.
But yeah, overall, it's just a really good film. And I can see why people loved it so much that it's like literally what was it? The most watched movie in Disney Plus?
Yes. And also just it says a lot when you had Zootopia and this movie both nominated the same year for Best Animated Feature. And it could have gone to both at the time, but knowing what we know now, it should have been Moana, because not only was it a great film, but The Rock was going to buy all that In-N-Out for the In-N-Out workers there. So come on.
Wait, did it not win?
No, it lost to Zootopia.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, Moana should have beat Zootopia. I mean, way better film. I mean, like one of the greats, one of the great Princess Disney movies. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and also just the opening of How Far I'll Go. Oh, that's peak Disney right there.
Okay, but here we go, the big one. The Academy Award winner. Remember that? It's an Oscar winner for Best Animated Film. Totally, there's not another movie that came out that beat this, right?
I'm putting my ones in the air for this movie.
Exactly, the greatest film ever made. Rob Breaks the Internet is an abomination of a movie.
Yeah, it's terrible.
it does such horrendous character assassination that Ralph and Vanellope do not feel like actual characters that they used to be. They look like fake Disney DVD versions of themselves. Like them going to the internet and just being one big, oh, look at us, look at Disney, you know what I mean, the Disney store or Disney page or whatever, and see Google, whatever, eBay, whatever, YouTube, whatever, who cares? It's just a better version of the Emoji Movie, and the Emoji Movie was just awful too.
But is that saying something? Because that movie was trash.
It's just, this movie, I'm so glad it didn't win. I mean, if literally across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse lost, there would have been riots.
Hell would have broken loose.
Because this movie is just awful. I hate every single character in this film. They are not the same characters that we got in the first movie. These are just weird lookalikes. They're fakes, they're copies, you know what I mean? Fake, awful copies that should be terminated.
They're just, it's like we're in Bizarro Land, where like, they just got sent through a portal. It's like, oh, Ralph is not Ralph, and Vanellope's not Vanellope. And Felix and his wife, they never existed. So it's not a good film at all. But the only saving grace, it's still better than The Black Cauldron, which I would 100% watch this movie over. But that's not saying much. This movie just destroying what was potentially going to be a franchise, seeing it crash and burn. It's phenomenal in that regard, but as a movie, you could watch something better. Anything. Watch Spider-Verse.
It's bland and boring, and the only funny part is Ralph reading the rude comments.
Yeah, that's it.
That's me every time I look at the comment section. Oh
man.
From one hellscape to another, it's Frozen 2. I mean, my God, that documentary about the production of Frozen 2 is the most insane thing I've ever seen. How did that get greenlit by Disney? And them thinking like, oh yeah, this is gonna look really good. This is really good PR. We're so smart for doing this. It's like, what? What do you mean this movie literally was scrapped 6 months before release? You had to redo all of it. What do you mean they had to work 20 hours without bonus pay? What the fuck? Like, what is wrong with you? How is that a good look for you, Disney? And it shows with the movie, because this movie is just mid. It's actually kind of like, it's a worse downgrade than Frozen, because for some reason they tried to make the plot something it wasn't.
Yeah, they literally tried to make Elsa Elizabeth Warren. Yeah,
that's what happened. I mean, it's like, what happened here? Like oh, now, you know, now they're from a different area. It's like, what, this random area that never existed before, this island, now it's here all of a sudden?
I will give it to them. Into the Unknown is a banger, but what brings it down is having that stupid Panic at the Disco cover. It's like, okay, why do we need this? But other than that, there's solid elements in here underneath all the trials and tribulations that this movie goes through and just existing. Like, I don't know, just them, Anna and Elsa discovering their grandpa's evil past and trying to break that cycle. It's like, okay, that's interesting. I wish it would somewhere, because by the time we get to that, it's already over and the movie's done. But in general, it's not a bad movie, but it could have just been so much better. And just seeing that documentary, how much they scrapped, and literally having to basically last second Hail Mary try to get this movie out is insane. But yeah, what could have been. And
yeah, it's not a knock on any of those poor people that had to work no. overtime to make this movie work. The fact that they got this movie out in the first place, like how Toy Story 2 happened, is a miracle. Kudos to them. It's just that Disney, being the greedy bastards that they are, by abusing the system, they could delay this movie. It probably made more money. But the fact that, you know, they wanted it now because, you know, the holidays, it had to happen, because you can't miss a year. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
it's just everything wrong with Disney.
Hold on. And this practice just gets worse and worse with these next movies.
Agreed. And Frozen 2 really epitomizes what we're seeing now, the trend with modern Disney movies of just being half-baked and just sort of made to meet a quota versus telling a story.
Oh boy. Raya and the Last Dragon. Let's start off with the positives, okay?
Okay.
The side characters are actually great. I love, you know, the monkeys and the little scheming little baby. They're funny. I like the little child too. He's cool. I like the dude, you know, with his family, who I guess died, right? Or they came back to life because they're under the curse, right?
Yes.
Okay, they came back. But those side characters are actually really good. The environments, you know, are pretty neat to look at. I like the little the port that they went to. You know, the main area where the dragon head is, whatever, that clan, that's a nice area.
That was cool.
It's really hard for me to think of anything positive without like going into a rant about how bad this movie is.
I like the adventure, and also the designs are really cool too, of like Raya and all the other characters. The world's cool to look at.
But that's it. That's literally it. And the negatives? Oh boy. Oh boy. The two main characters are awful. Raya, and not even Awkwafina. I'm not talking about Awkwafina. I'm talking about the villain. Her and Raya are some of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in a Disney film. They are both bland and boring. What are you gonna say?
Sorry, I was gonna say too many quips. Like, too many.
They felt like bantering ex-lovers. I'm like, my God, get a room, you two. And the whole thing about trust is a fine message, but when it's executed this bad, to the point where it feels like it literally is the opposite of what they're trying to say, it's just so horrendous, and really she did not deserve that redemption. She did not deserve a redemption thing, because she did not earn it. She literally shot Awkwafina. Like, why does she deserve to be like the one to save everybody? Raya should not have trusted her. She trusted her, and then shit happened. She trusted her again. Shit happens. She trusted her for a third time, and she didn't learn her lesson. Like, bitch, take the hint. This person is not to be trusted. If anything, she should have been the one to sacrifice herself to let Raya save everybody. You know what I mean? Then it'd be like, okay, fine. She sacrificed herself. She's sort of redeemed. But no. It's like, I trust you? What do you mean you trust her? You trust her like 5 times and she betrayed you every single time. Are you stupid? Like, how can you be this dumb to be like, oh, trust, and your other people are like, I don't trust you. But then you trust this bitch every time. Give me a break. Make up your mind.
It feels like they were trying to gaslight Raya into trusting the main villain the whole movie. And it's like, oh, it's your
Awkwafina.
fault. Yeah, I'm like, no, shut up. But
it's like, no, she caused this. It's her fault.
It is, and that is so annoying with this movie. All this drags it down. But I will say one good thing, and maybe this is, I don't know, just a compliment sandwich or a backhanded compliment, whatever. This is not Awkwafina's worst performance in an animated movie. She's fine in this. Like, that's it. She's fine. A lot of her stuff is funny, and her stuff as the dragon is good. She has some funny stuff, but
it's not bad compared to like the other stuff. Let's be real here. It's whatever.
It's no Scuttlebutt, and it's no Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh yeah, don't remind me. My God. But this movie, with all its faults, with the few positives I gave it, it is shockingly going into F tier. This movie pissed me off more than Wreck-It Ralph did. Wreck-It Ralph 2 did. All right, you can talk about Encanto.
Yeah, I love this movie. When I think of modern Disney movies, this is what immediately comes to mind. And it's an S tier. It's an S tier for me. And
all right, you have the floor to explain everything, because this is your movie. You really like this movie.
Yes, again, this is just coming from like the dredges of the movies that came before, leading up to this point. This was like a light at the end of the tunnel of shit. And what a treat. This is probably Lin-Manuel Miranda's, and this might be controversial, this might be Lin-Manuel Miranda's best song and music in any of these Disney movies. And I know Moana exists, and I know like he's been in a ton of other movies, but this by far just eclipses his talent, and also just shows the talent of everybody who's involved. Like, I don't even need to mention all the songs because we all know them, but like, we don't talk about Bruno, a banger. Even Luisa's song, oh no, it's Luisa's song is great. Just that whole beat is phenomenal. Even the song with her sister at the end, like seeing how far she'll go with her powers, beautiful. And just the whole family madrigal, you just feel their dynamic, and you just feel like, yeah, they all care for each other, but they're all trying to do good for the grandma, and it's just never enough. This movie just shows like how toxic that can be, and how families fight and everything. But when you truly love each other and want to like see each other succeed, you could overcome a lot. And just the whole, man, I sound like I'm rambling, but like, I just love this movie so much, and I'm trying not to gush too much. But just the whole ending scene with Bruno and Mirabelle and the grandma just in the lake. Oh my God. Yeah, it just brings me to tears. It's just that whole sequence that makes me cry all the time. This movie's phenomenal. The music is phenomenal. The stories and characters are fantastic. It has really good gags, like blink and you'll miss it, especially in all the songs. Once you rewind and look back, you'll find new things to look at. It's so good. Honestly, if there was like any other Disney movie that came out in 2000s not named Encanto, this would be like the number one for me. But I said my piece. This movie's fantastic. You have to check it out.
And that's basically it. The Colombian hippos were there. Kind of crazy. The whole story was great. You know, the powers they have. You know, the generational trauma. It's all very good. It's all very good. If you know, you know. You know, Hispanic families, that could happen. What can you do? It comes with the family. So Gamera, Planet of the Turtles, is a very interesting film, because at the beginning I kind of liked it, how it felt like a comic strip come to life like that. It was really, I thought, really well done. I thought, okay, you know, I've heard this movie's kind of boring. I thought this movie so far looks pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how it progresses. And then we kind of get to the strange world, and then it kind of all falls apart real bad. And the fact that the only interesting character is Jake Gyllenhaal is not a good sign.
Yeah.
The movie, it's like it really kind of churns when you actually get inside the turtle's body, which, spoiler alert, they're inside a giant turtle. Like, they're literally inside Gamera. Don't know how, but you know, it is what it is. It works.
They just there. They just are.
But the main character, Ethan, is just honestly just so bland and so forgettable that I don't really care about his angst. I get it. It's also like Encanto with the generational trauma. You know how Jake Gyllenhaal's dad, abandoned him, and he feels like his son's gonna abandon him when he grows up, and it's all like, just trauma. I felt like this movie could have worked if they actually had a villain where instead of like trying to accidentally kill Gamera, they try to use his essence to make their stuff more powerful. That would have been kind of interesting, instead of being like, oh, it's miscommunication, which is like, okay, that's whatever. They all kind of work together in the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter that they got locked up for no reason. You know what I mean? You're gonna believe the whole weird ass shit you've seen, but you're not gonna believe that you're inside Gamera. People, are you insane? You're gonna be like, that's too far. A giant living turtle? Come on, man. That's only an Avatar with the sea turtles or the sea lion turtles.
Yeah, it's like a talking turtle. We're in a giant turtle. That's outrageous.
Lock him up.
I will say, in its defense, this movie, having zero expectations going in, I am thoroughly surprised at how good it is after hearing so much, like how, oh, it's bland, it's Disney's flop, blah, 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 blah. It really is a good film to at least check out once if you're very interested. It's nowhere near as bad as people have made it out to be, but it's just the characters that like very much bring it down. Where just you have the crew who maybe this is just modern Disney writing, where it just feels like, okay, I get it, they're all hashtag relatable. Write in a different style, please, because a lot of them come off as annoying, except for like a couple characters. It's mainly like the crew of the egg carrier that is causing this. But again, once you sort of see Jake Gyllenhaal's dad and they sort of all start talking, him, his son, and the grandpa, that whole dynamic is interesting. But again, I just wish it was fleshed out more. Though in his defense, I will say this, and this might be controversial, I could definitely see this in a couple years being in that sort of Atlantis Treasure Planet style, being like an underrated classic. But it's not there yet. It's not there yet by far. And maybe this is a hot take that ages like milk, but mid-movie.
Mid-world.
Mid-world. A mid-movie that falls flat.
Going into this, our opinions were Chicken Little was awful and Black Cauldron was the worst. Wish, to me, is the second worst Disney film. It is such a middle finger to all the years of Disney being like, oh, look at this reference. Oh, referencing this. Remember this in that movie? Remember the Seven Dwarfs? They're here now. They're annoying as shit and I don't like them, but they're here now. You can be the fairy godmother. Oh my god, somebody shoot me with a gun. The main villain sucks. Chris Pine. What were they doing with you? Why did they fumble you so bad? What happened here, Captain Kirk? The Wish character. The songs were written by a bot. There is no way you can make the lyrics "Watch out world, here I are" as a real thing. Or that one where it's like, I've seen too many bad things, too many to count. That is not real lyrics. These are the same people who made some of the songs for Tarzan. You are not real people. Those are just fake names for ChatGPT, because there is no way that any actual human wrote this story, wrote those songs, wrote those characters. It's just such a bad film that's kind of like a middle finger to all the rest of the Disney catalog. It's like, oh, remember this? Remember that? I bet you'd be watching this movie instead. Yeah, I'd rather watch Snow White than this piece of shit. This movie is just so embarrassing that the short that they did was 10 times better than what this movie was trying to do. The only highlight is them not acknowledging Black Cauldron. That is so funny when you're on the same level as that movie. So, congratulations.
It is shocking how just half-baked this whole movie is, just from its art style, the characters, and just the overall tone. Like the very first thing when what's her name goes to Chris Pine and says, oh, are everybody's wishes going to come true? It's like, no, some people's wishes aren't going to come true. And then immediately, instead of like trying to keep the quote unquote facade up, immediately just says the villain stuff up front to her. And it's like, okay, where is this coming from? Because literally 5 seconds ago, that wasn't it. It's like, where did this come from? And then just the whole scene after, and then firing her. It's like, okay, I get it. Now he's a dick. But then the audacity to say we deserve better than this. It's like, bro, everybody seems to be fine. If you are all living in abject poverty or just seemingly in a horrible situation on this island, then that line would make sense. But from where I'm sitting and seeing this movie, you're all fine. What's the issue? It seems the only issue is you now, because you know that Chris Pine's a dick. But it's like, what's going on? And like, just the whole portion of just seemingly the wishes that quote unquote Chris Pine has are like a part of your soul, or like something happens if they're destroyed. It's like, where'd that come from? That feels like it should have been mentioned during that. Like that should have been the signal for like, oh, keeping these wishes is bad because look what it's doing to the people. It's destroying their souls essentially. But no, they seem fine.
It's only after when remember the person gets their wish and like, I don't feel so good. It's only after that. You've never noticed that ever? Your stupid grandfather was like, I want to play the flute for my people. It's like, cállate la boca, cochino viejo. You could have done that anyway, but I lost my creativity. Ah, pobrecito, get out of here. Just die already.
It feels like we missed a good half of this movie and we watched like what, 90 to like 100 minutes of this? It's like, where was all this backstory? And plus, I hate the side characters. They're so goddamn annoying.
They're really bad. And the songs, the songs. Her Wand song is the worst in any Disney movie ever. It is so she's not even a bad singer, but the lyrics she's forced to sing are so bad and just so. It's like it feels like it was made by a bot. That's the only way I can describe it. They don't feel like real lyrics that somebody who's supposed to be a musician or a lyricist actually made. They feel fake. I don't know how to describe it. And yeah, it's just, it really doesn't, it's just, a disgusting movie. Disgusting movie. For your like 100th year celebration or whatever, that's the best you could come up with? A sad cash grab at nostalgia bait? Really? That's it? But that makes sense considering that they're going to push more AI stuff and pushing that into their movies. So I think we're kind of fucked, not gonna lie.
Unfortunately. And plus, just seeing Chick Little and Wish on the same level, that makes sense because they're literally two halves of the same coin of just not even pop. We've gone so far from Chick Little making annoying, obnoxious pop culture references to where now Wish, you get annoying, obnoxious Disney references. It's a full circle.
And they don't even work. They don't even work.
No, they don't.
It's just, yeah, there's a reason why it just pisses me off so much that this is shockingly the second worst. It's honestly, it makes me more mad than Black Cauldron. All right, fuck it. I'm saying it. This is the worst Disney movie. Just for what it represents.
Ooh.
Just for what it represents and what the future is for this shitty ass company.
Yeah, honestly, I have no words.
This might be the nail for a lot of for a lot of other reasons, not just because of bankruptcy with the Black Cauldron. This is gonna be the nail because it's gonna set a lot of other precedents.
Black Cauldron almost killed the company, and Wish, it probably already did.
Yep. But now we get to the final one. My God, this release, we were meant to do this like months ago before Moana 2 came out, but we kind of got distracted with a lot of other things, and Now we're finally here with Moana 2. And Moana 2,
It's all right.
If you like Disney DVD movies, you'll like Moana 2, but in the end, it's just mid. You could really tell this is meant to be a Disney Plus movie. And there are certain shots where, you know, some transitional scenes where it's like, okay, you can tell when the episode ends to get to the next one. You know what I mean? It's very evident, which is like, oh God. But for what it is actually Disney. Like this studio didn't make this, right? It was just the backlot people.
Yep.
So this is technically a Disney DVD sequel, so it shouldn't even be added. But for what it is, it's technically a theatrical release. It is still mid. You know, it's cool to see I almost said Tangaloa. Oh my God. I almost said Tamatanga.
Oh my.
It was cool seeing the mid-credit scene, the Dear Evan Hansen fan being there, you know, because he's a part of the movie. It kind of puts it above D tier, but overall, it's still just a forgettable movie, and most likely the third one will be a lot better because it's actually be made by, you know, people that actually worked on Moana instead of people that watched Moana.
Yeah, and it's giving that same energy of like those shitty animated movies that are like made by the people that watched these movies, and you nailed it on the head. It's made by people that watched Moana instead of make it. Hopefully they bring back Lin-Manuel Miranda, and hopefully they bring back the original writers and songwriters that they have for Moana 2, where it's like shocking they didn't even think to talk to them, which again
is a bad sign.
Another cash grab, and it's just it's not the worst, but I feel like this is sort of the precedent going forward where everything's just going to be passable.
And that's going to be the sad reality, especially with all of them being sequels now. I mean, what? Frozen 3, Toy Story 5, what else is there? Other stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
It's going to be a rough time. But this is it. I mean, this is crazy. Basically like almost 100 years of Disney films. And for the most part, you know, there's some high highs, but then we kind of get to the 2000s where it kind of gets rough. I mean, really rough. And it's still shocking to see that Wish, in my opinion, is the worst Disney film. But looking back on it, yeah, it just makes me more mad compared to Black Cauldron or Chicken Little.
Yeah, no words for that. It's just now we're in a zone where all the successes that Disney would have potentially are just going to be in spite of everything that Wish and Moana 2 set going forward.
I mean, yeah, look how bad Mufasa's doing in the box office compared to Sonic 3.
Sonic 3 hype.
Exactly, and that was actually a good film.
Oh, amazing.
But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. This is our tier list. I'm going to put the tier list down in the description down below, and comment down below what's your favorite or worst Disney film. Is it Wish? Is it, you know, Sword in the Stone for your worst, or if your best? Do you have something else like maybe Alice in Wonderland's an S tier, maybe Sleeping Beauty's an S tier? Let us know in the comments down below. All that being said, thanks for 500 subscribers. I wouldn't be here without all of you, and I'll catch everyone for the next ranking video, which will be the Godzilla one. I'm working on that, but it's like, I'm gonna be honest here, it's like 50,000 words, so yeah, it's gonna be a long time to make. But I'll catch everyone for the next ranking video. Later, everybody.
Bye.